I don't know if the rest of you have noticed. Dominique, I don't know if you've seen this Mike Ryan before. Greg Cody certainly has, and has some issues with this Mike Ryan. Mike Ryan, who is not allowed to speak into a microphone after the Panthers win like that, and Marchand does that, and Ethan's echoing "eat shit Mike Ryan," has been around for 3 days, makes for an aggressive Mike Ryan. And he was just screaming and yelling about something that ended with him ranting at you and me.
Yeah.
Soup. You guys started with soup yesterday. And then Jeremy jumps in, giant omission yesterday in the soup category.
My voice has rarely been missed on this show,
say the soup.
but never been missed more than yesterday.
That's good executive producing right there.
Matzo
Right
ball
there.
soup, okay?
Right
it
there.
was blatant anti-Semitism.
That is how you do executive producing. He always starts with the broadcastery slow jog sing song.
You got
of
your ass, Jeremy.
transition.
You got your ass.
That's how you EP.
Hey, Jeremy. I like it. A little foreplay, warm it up. Let's get us right, man. Just get
foreplay
us,
guy.
Get us in the mood.
He gets mad at us in the middle of that and accuses us of anti-Semitism.
I mean, you're going to leave matzo ball soup off the list,
Not
Dan?
thick enough.
Never
Not
had it.
thick enough.
Never had it.
The
Never had it.
matzah itself
Wait a
is
second,
great.
chicken noodles. How am I falling into this trap?
It's a good conversation.
It is, and I know we did the whole show after a Super Bowl where we didn't talk about the Super Bowl, but people do come to us for Panther talk, right? And I know you got this thing where you're like, the audience is, always going to push back against hockey. Those people left, dog. They left. Well, we've been talking hockey for years around these parts. So, yeah, after the Panthers win Game 3, 6-1, and everyone's fighting, and Jonah Gadjevich becomes a superstar with his reactions, maybe, just maybe that day.
Nope. You guys respect hockey too much, and you did this with McGregor. You denied me the billboards, and I'm not going to let you keep winning.
McDavid, that's a fine.
Your team
McDavid.
Your team can keep
He said
winning.
McGregor.
Connor.
I'll pay the fine. Don't start the show yet. I'll pay the fine.
I was back here complaining about it, and Chris was like, "You're a chili guy, I guess," which I am. It's
Clearly
hard.
a chili guy.
Wendy's chili, especially.
Look, we're
Oh, that's a shame.
I mean, ridiculous.
It was on, but we started
First,
the
my
show.
topics aren't up, and now my mic's not
okay.
up.
Listen,
Ridiculous.
don't start the show yet.
Wait a minute.
I can't do a show with this Mike Ryan and old matzo balls over here. I can't. I can't do it this way.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my, please use caution.
Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the Let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the
I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, man so tough, but man's keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my, please use caution.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
3 good questions just asked in rat-a-tat-tat fire between Greg Cody and Dominique Foxworth. Is jambalaya a soup?
No.
Is
not even
gumbo a soup?
This might be the stew category.
Closer.
Is chili can chili be a soup?
Hold on. He said stew. Where does stew fit? Is stew separate or like a separate phylum altogether? Or is stew underneath the soup? Is stew a version of soup?
Stew is more hearty.
Yeah. Thicker. Eats like a meal.
So none of those are soups?
Well, jambalaya is not even close. I mean, that's not even
It could
the
be
same
made
category.
soupy. I guess it'd be poorly if it was made soupy. But gumbo feels like a soup. It feels pretty close to a seafood soup.
Depends on where you get it. Sometimes it's mostly rice.
But I guess I'm not sure if a stew is a soup. I guess just a rule of thumb, never trust a stew.
What?
How have you never had
Can't trust the
matzo
stew.
ball soup. That's true. And when you say stew's in a separate category and it's apart, it's at God Bless Football. And you should check out that channel right now. It's new and it's great. He's got a new studio, and the only reason that he's not here is because he's working hard for football season so that God Bless Football could be a larger business than it presently is.
You just said Stugotz and the words working hard in the same sentence. That's impressive.
Well, he's got something that's his now. He owns something that's his, and he's building it out. And you should check out and subscribe to his channels because it's Stugotz and it's God Bless Football, and he's growing both of them with his own studios. Mike, have you seen those studios?
They're very nice, very pristine.
I don't know where that is. Is that closer to his home?
Yeah, it's in Jacksonville, yeah.
So Stugotz will be back soon, but in the interim, we've got Dominique Foxworth here ruining the show by starting with soups. When, Mike, if you want to have at the microphones, I'm going to have to try and pull you in on a leash because you're crazy. Because you're 2 games from the Cup, and it's an insane time, and you weren't on the show yesterday, and you had a lot of critiques about the show yesterday that were aggressive.
Well, give the people what they want. Look, you know me on air, and I've kind of toned it down because people don't like that. If they're excited about a sport, I don't want to just be a one-trick pony and take the air out of it. So when Game 1 of the NBA Finals happens, I bone up on it. Tyrese Halliburton hit a game-winning shot. I got to come with stats. I'm hosting. I got to give the people what they want. Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals, an excellent Stanley Cup final, I might add. You give the people what they want. You become a destination program for people either wanting to learn about this or locals wanting Panther coverage. And some of these people might not be wise to the shtick of this show. So you don't push them away with 5 minutes of soup talk.
This is where I disagree with you, and this is where you're becoming the thing that we used to rail against. I always want to start with soup. And I don't care what's happening in sports, but you respect this sport more than most. You care about this team more than most. Your connection to the personality of this team, I've only seen now with like basketball because of your investment. You started your career with this team, and you're frustrated that this show only talks about it with McDavid's overrated.
Right. Well, it's bad. We are limited in scope, but I would say that we are probably identified as the biggest Florida Panthers podcast in terms of talking about them the most. We are a pro-Panthers program, and there are a lot of people curious. There's a lot of abuelas and abuelos that may not be into podcasts or may not even be into hockey, but this is captivating a market that realizes this team's been to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals. And after Game 3, when people are excited, maybe, just maybe, give the people what they want.
If you don't want to start with soup, would you prefer to start with salad?
Depends on the
mozzarella
take.
sticks. Or...
Oh, mozzie sticks, I'm down too. I'm also not a big soup guy when it's this hot. It's not even soup season.
Wasn't
having this discussion.
Odd time of year for us to start soup.
When is soup season in South Florida? Is there a South Florida soup season?
Yeah, when it becomes warm. Right now, it's hotter than Beelzebub's ball sack. But like when it's just warm, that's soup season.
Soup season is when you get sick and your abuela goes to Sergio's or La Carreta and gets you sopita de pollo, which is also top tier soup. I got it for my wife yesterday. She wasn't feeling well. Got her sopita de pollo. All of a sudden, locked in.
Also, it's why the anti-Semitism claim is valid. Yes. Because you just went at matzo ball soup for not being thick enough. But probably the most famous soup is chicken noodle soup, and that is not thick.
I was not willing to put chicken soup in the category of meal the way lobster bisque and clam chowder and even French onion soup were.
I had regrets. I have regrets after shows, and normally I flush them. It's one of the biggest regrets. I'm not going to be able to sleep for a long time that I allowed you guys to disparage the king of soups. Chicken noodle? It's the king of soups, man.
Chicken noodle?
Goated.
No, boring.
What?
Yeah.
Boring chicken noodle.
And also, like Jeremy,
vanilla.
On behalf of Italians, where's Italian wedding?
Yeah, come on.
You're getting close. The best soup ever is sausage and lentil, which is in the neighborhood with the
Strong. No, I'm with my dad on this. Strong.
You're saying that chicken noodle soup is bland. You're appalled by what he's alleging here. At Le Batard Show, is chicken noodle soup the king of all the soups?
No.
Sausage and lentil? What is that?
You guys don't know good soup.
What am I, a horse? If you're slop?
You guys are showing your ass right now.
No,
if you're
no.
mocking that soup,
Chris,
you guys are dumb.
I don't doubt that Greg's sausage and lentil soup is amazing.
Thank you.
But I think if 100 people surveyed, Family Feud style, I don't think sausage and lentils making the board.
They haven't had it. They haven't eaten my sausage and lentil soup.
You are 0-3 in cooking competitions.
Yeah, but who's
here.
counting?
I will never eat your sausage nor your lentil, sir.
Wow.
But remember when he had his Thanksgiving leftover soup? And that wasn't a competition. That was one of the more delicious things I've
really
ever
good.
had.
Yeah, I can make some soup.
I'm sorry.
You're an anti-Semite. You've never had matzo ball soup.
I haven't. I have it. I apologize. We're going to change that today.
But Jeremy's wrong.
Let's go get some.
All right, let's get him some.
Give me some matzo ball
It's
soup.
good.
There's got to be a deli around the corner.
It is good, but you
In
will
Miami?
you will say, I believe, that this is not. It does not rise to the level that we're talking about of a creamy, decadent soup.
I will not, because I've already been accused of anti-Semitism. I can tell you right now that no matter what this soup tastes like, I'm going to say it's fucking delicious.
Okay, so the thing that I'm getting stuck on is I guess the distinction I'm making is in order for a soup to be a meal, it doesn't really come with broth. It's got to be a cream. It's got to be, unless I'm going French onion, in which case I'm slathering a bunch of stuff in there, including giant gobs of cheese.
But see, this is why matzo ball soup is perfect for you, Dan, because you get all of the joys of chicken noodle soup, but that matzo ball gives you that thickness that you're looking for that turns it into a full meal, because now not only are you getting the protein of the chicken, but you're getting the carbs with the matzo ball,
Okay,
and it
but
doesn't rise to anything. It's matzo.
I've never seen Chris Cody so indignant as to call you dumb to your face because you did
was
not
more general,
respect.
because these guys were mocking each
No,
other.
you looked right in his
accept it.
eyes.
I'll accept it.
You looked
Yeah,
right.
he did.
You.
But Tony hit the white guy. That offended me too. He hit the white guy's sounder.
I also said, I'm not a horse. I'm not going to eat whatever that
yeah,
slop
I mean,
is.
it was mainly at
That was
Tom. I
my
may have
bad.
been looking at Dom, but it was really Tony.
I
who
felt
was
it.
talking
I
to
felt
there.
it.
I saw your side eye, and I thought it was going at Dom, but it wasn't. It was wrapping around
It's just
your
a good
head.
soup. And I know good food, so like I will just not sit here and let you guys.
Well, this is the indignance.
besmirch.
What happened there was the indignance. Is I've never seen a more confident you. You stepped in with my wheelhouse. No one will speak ill of the sausage and lentil. It was handed down from my
Those
father.
little sausages, delightful.
It was handed down from my father, who does cook a good sausage. I will give him that.
Thank you.
But somebody said here, nominated for an Italian soup, something other than minestrone. I thought minestrone.
Italian wedding.
Wedding, yeah.
Okay,
Little
so
meatballs.
so you guys, so as an Italian soup, you like the Italian wedding more than minestrone on behalf of the Italians?
I'm the only Italian here, right? Yep. I'll speak for Italians. I prefer Italian wedding.
It's good soup.
Thank you, Greg.
Is it a meal?
It
Yeah, it's
can
pretty
be.
hearty. Yeah,
it can be.
Yeah, you take all the leftover macaroni,
Got a little thickness to it.
But you are just nominating right now. We closed the category yesterday with 3 soups that were allowed to be a meal, and a lot of people were saying French onion had to get out of there, that the only meals you could go with were clam chowder and lobster bisque as meals.
Well, then what do you do with pho?
Oh, yeah. Now
Definitely
that's
a meal.
If we're going into the Asian soups, Tom Young. It's very
That's good, too. We like that. Yep.
Pho wasn't even nominated yesterday.
Well, you could have used me.
It
Tell you
sounds
what a bad idea
What the
this
fuck?
was.
well. You're pissed off because this is
See,
what.
look at us. A day removed from Game 3. Now we can talk soup.
There's plenty of time for us to decide when we talk soup around here.
Got NBA Finals tonight,
These-
too. Big game tonight.
We're doing 3 shows in 24 hours.
Yeah, we are.
We are going to be here. So less people complain they're not getting enough of us.
I
Hey!
also have Kane's Insight today for the people that want to talk super regional.
Also, it's got to do the alley-oop after that.
That's right. What we're doing tonight with Mero at 8 p.m., we are doing his pregame show to Alley-Oop. So there's a lot. Over the next 24 hours, it's going to be more content from the show than any time since Freedom, I think. And it's because we're celebrating everything that's happening around here, including the NHL Final, which has been majestic. But, Mike, when you say we did a disservice to the audience, I'm promising you that while many people are here newfound for the coverage of the Panthers, who are champions and are enduring kind of excellent, there are many people being put off by how much this show suddenly talks about hockey, when this has never been a hockey show. In the last 30 years, it's never been a hockey show.
Right, and you, I think you're, excuse me, that's a fine, programmed by doing radio in this market where Panthers legitimately was a tune-out. We've been doing this, and it's not just the 3 years of the Cup run. They won the President's Trophy before that. They were in the playoffs the year before that. I think maybe our ESPN time period was the period where we talked the least amount of hockey. When we were local, we'd end every show with Randy Moeller, and we'd do goal calls. We talk hockey on this show. Panther hockey is synonymous with this show to a lot of people, and I understand speaking for an audience, and there's always going to be those commenters there, but if they haven't left by now, they ain't leaving. And the people that threatened to leave, they actually did, because this has been several years in the making.
I mean, you beat the drum at a Panthers game. How can this not be identified as a
Come
Panthers?
on, man. We're talking a lot of Panthers hockey.
They're in the final.
Not enough.
But not enough.
I would argue either
like 5 shows.
I would argue let's either talk soup or let's talk Panthers. Let's not talk about us talking about Panthers.
Great. You're
locked
in.
in.
Locked in.
Wow, that is good leadership.
Locked in.
So, Chris Cody, tell us, what's the show missing as an ingredient? This is your soup. This is your soup. When you ask me, where is the soup? Every time Canada and hockey comes to South Florida, the trophy gets stuck in our swampy soup. Where's the soup? What's soup season in South Florida? It's sweating from my forearms. It's soupy down here. And it's where the cup resides. How would you like to talk about the Florida Panthers? How would you like to celebrate? We don't do pregame shows, and they don't play another game until tomorrow night.
That's dumb.
No, I like that.
I don't like that the biggest break is when they're all in Florida. Shouldn't the biggest break be when they're commuting from to and from?
That's good though. Get them out there on the
Important
beach.
question.
Go to the
mean,
beach, guys. Have a nice off day.
important
Have a
question.
nice off day in Miami.
That is brutal that they're going from Thursday in Sunrise to Saturday in Edmonton. That's brutal.
Preach, brother.
Seriously, that should not be allowed. That's when you need a 2-day
Definitely
break.
can't hear me.
But I'm bringing together the two sides here by speculating on what is Brad Marchand's favorite soup. I think that's what we need to talk about.
I think the real debate is how do you pronounce his last name?
Marchand.
We can't
No,
agree.
Shand.
I've heard Marchand more
It's
from
Marchand.
people, from Canadians in the know.
I've thought it's Marchand because it feels like it should have a French flourish
It does.
underneath
Yeah,
it.
he is Canadian.
I don't think. I mean, based on the stereotypes of the French, I feel like Marchand does not give off French. Gives off physical.
Also, Greg, do they give pronunciations? Is it Lusterinen or Lusterinen? I've heard both.
I think Lusterinen, no? That's all I've heard.
Well, this is good coverage, I think, to
Yeah.
check in with the champions and figure out how to pronounce
think-
their names in
Yes.
Game 4 of
I have
the
a
final.
I have a question that will bring everyone together. It'll bring the soups and the hockeys into one place. If you had the Stanley Cup for one night, what soup would you eat out of it?
Ooh.
Let me see what soups have been eaten out of
Isn't
it.
that the same game as what's your favorite soup?
Shh, I was tricking him. Come on, you are too
but
much
at
on your
least-
game today, baby.
Yeah.
You are too much on your.
You as the voice of the audience.
I don't like what's going on over
This
here.
is good EPing by
You're a
you.
bumbling producer.
We don't
That's
know
your
what-
role.
We don't know what to do with you getting in there urgently with good judgment. We're genuinely confused by it.
Throwing me.
Get my man a gummy.
I want to get to what is happening with USA Soccer because this, locally we do care about soccer, though we probably don't talk about that seriously enough either for Mike's liking.
I think we meet the moment when it's World Cup time. Our show does a good job with that.
Well, World
1
Cup
year away.
World Cup is approaching, and we're about to get embarrassed in Miami by what's happening with this FIFA. They're promising a sold-out stadium, and there's just no way that they understand what Miami is if they think that on a night where you're going to have championship Panthers, that you're going to have a situation where they get a Inter Miami, and you guys, who bet? What is the name of this other club? Forgive my
Al
ignorance
Ali,
here.
they're the most decorated club in the history of world football. They've won more trophies than any other club, more than Real Madrid. They are titans from the African continent. They are Egyptian royalty, basically. They just don't lose. Inter Miami is a club with big branding. They got, obviously, the most famous player in the world in Leo Messi, and they usually play 15 minutes from Boca in a small stadium. This is really ambitious, but the entire tournament is ambitious, and I think the tournament's going to be great. Gianni Infantino, the head of FIFA, has made a lot of promises, promising that this will be a sellout at Hard Rock Stadium, a team that can occasionally sell out MLS games in a much smaller venue is now being put at Hard Rock Stadium against an Egyptian team most people don't have any connective tissue to.
Most people here, most people regionally, when you think
Right.
of South Florida and what would attract people to play against Inter Miami, it would not be African culture.
No.
It would be Hispanic culture in terms of an allegiance here in town.
Right. Now, this may turn into Four Nations, where we see this expanded edition of the Club World Cup. What a tremendous idea. What passion. But they're really swinging big here. There's plenty of reasons why this would fail. It's the first year of the tournament of this kind. It's on DAZN. Not many of the games are on Turner. There's only 24 of the games on Turner's Sports. So it's a big, ambitious swing, and it's probably going to take a couple additions for this tournament to really gain traction. Another thing that's kind of looming all over this is Department of Homeland Security and ICE have already announced that they will have a presence at this game. And I don't know if you've seen the tourism numbers for America. Not great, Bob. So you're counting, a lot of this business model is counting on people traveling to the United States. They don't want to mess with this. They're watching the coverage. I'm going to be detained? There are all sorts of concerns right now about going to these games. I happen to know.
Wait a minute.
Happen to know.
Wait a minute. There's a happen to know.
Happen to know
Mike,
from.
No, that's not a. I thought we were going to get imaging for when Mike's reporting happened to know.
Happen to know from a great friend of mine that is a great reporter. I don't know if he's run with this, so I'm not going to put his name out there. But he told me that FIFA employees are giving tickets away that are not part of the ticket office. And there were FIFA officials and salespeople seen at Miami-Dade College promising, hey, $20 tickets, but you also get 4 additional complimentary passes. Johnny Infantino really cares about optics. So they are going to give away as many tickets to this stadium. And if it is indeed packed, bet your bottom dollar that more than half that stadium did not pay to get in.
Whoa. That's a happen to know report? It's just going to be bussing in a bunch of children, school buses of children. It's going to be like when Marlins fill their stadium with 10,000 kids on school day, so it looks like there are people there.
It's a weird – I understand why Inter Miami is opening the tournament, but opening the tournament against a club, no matter how prestigious they are in Egypt, it's not really known here. And if you're counting on Miami, which is a gateway to the Americas, a great soccer market, to be drawn to go beyond just what they usually do for Messi, you're going to need a big marquee opponent to kick things off, and that's not what they're doing. So it was a weird judgment call, I think.
The problem there, though, is that in the Egyptian opponent, like you say, they're good, but nobody knows who they are. And you don't think of Egypt when you think of world soccer, but they wanted to give Inter Miami a match that they could win. You don't want to start Inter Miami off against Real Madrid.
And I don't think they're going to win it. This is a good club.
No,
Leo
you're
Messi
right.
was playing a rock fight of a match against Colombia yesterday, played the entire game. And Inter Miami's got a lot of people leaving for international duty. They're coming in here. Meanwhile, this Egyptian club's been in South Florida for a while, acclimating. It's going to be very difficult. I think this competition is going to be more cagey than people anticipate because of so many different calendars.
Mike, you going bottom dollar betting and cagey in your analysis of the grit of caring about soccer in this town. Cody, you covered the original Fort Lauderdale Strikers, okay? You know what they're trying to build here. The idea that stadium is going up near the airport is an asinine construction that Messi, I doubt, will ever get to. And wow, what a ripoff that'll end up being if all that happened here makes for a stadium near the airport where they keep trying to grow an MLS thing that will be harder to grow without Messi, because they were trying to grow it in Boca. How many seats do they have in that stadium that you're talking about going 10 times the size, 8 times the size if you're trying to fill this stadium? What's the difference? What's
the
capacity?
Soccer seating at Hard Rock Stadium, I think, is
60,
just around 70.
Is it that
around.
high? Okay,
Yeah,
I was
around
going to say 64.
Around 70.
Okay.
And while Messi is out of contract at the end of the MLS season, teammates have extended. The expectation is that he does see Miami Freedom Park open next season. We'll see. I haven't done
It has the
enough reporting on
potential to be a calamity, okay? Giving a lot of public land to a soccer franchise when soccer has never worked successfully in the market, and this is the most giant of swings that's ever been taken. It's Messi. It's trying to bring the world and the World Cup to South Florida with a watch party that, Mike, you're saying is going to be filled with a bunch of people who aren't actually caring about the event they're at.
No. I think this watch party, you must care. You have to care about
We are gonna
soccer.
be super caring about it.
If you're going to show up at Grails, and thanks to Boost Mobile for partnering up with DraftKings to bring this event there, if you're going to Grails this Saturday to watch the Club World Cup, you love soccer. This is a market that I'd venture to say more people love soccer than hockey. Keep in mind, Grails is a sports bar. I imagine there's going to be a TV with the local hockey team playing a major game there. All of this is a big swing for FIFA. It is a big revenue cash grab, and it replaced the Confederations Cup, which was just the Confederations champion matching up to one another. And what it represented was not just a competition, but a practice round, a dress rehearsal, if you will, for the following year in the host nation. Let's make sure we have everything in order. And where the United States really flourishes compared to other countries that may not have the infrastructure and the venues, they need those dress rehearsals. The United States doesn't. However, if you look at what happened in the Copa America final a couple of years ago,
Yeah, we need that warm-up.
Let's have that one back. Now, I will say the security will be different, not just because of what happened, but that was CONMEBOL running security, and South Florida really dropped the ball in allowing them to dictate things. If you've ever been to a FIFA event, they have far more security. Now, this is going to be awkward with ICE and the Department of Homeland Security.
Good times.
Yeah, so it's not just a dress rehearsal for the facility. It's also a dress rehearsal to see how this is going to look in a year, because I don't think this immigration stuff's going away. And Infantino and Donald Trump seem to be very close. Infantino's gone to the White House several times. Donald Trump calls him Johnny Soccer. And I think one of the concessions that he made was, yeah, absolutely, you can have ICE and Homeland Security at these venues.
I think one element of them struggling to sell out Hard Rock Stadium for this game is a little bit of Lionel Messi fatigue in Miami. I don't know whether you agree with that or not, but when Miami flames out in the first round of the playoffs like they did last year, when they lose in the semifinals of another big tournament just recently, I think there's an expectation of what Messi was going to bring to Inter Miami that he has not brought in terms of on-field trophies. And I think that's an element. You know, look, Inter Miami they struggle to sell out some home games. Like, they're not.
When you hear that noise, you got to lay out.
Breaking news.
Wait, Greg Cody is looking around the room. He's confused by that sound
rattled him.
as if it's in here.
Okay,
What?
I mean-
Do you know what this is, or you don't know what just happened?
Yeah,
here?
I know now.
Did you think you got Hard Network out?
Yes, I did.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Greg,
I thought
Is that
I
the
did.
first time you've heard that sound?
Greg, that's the first
That's
time.
impossible.
No, I've heard it before. I had to see the spoon hitting a pan before
Is
I
that
realized
did
it.
Mory Povich? Is that associated with Mory
Kachung.
Povich?
He's married to Connie Chung. And
No, I thought it was hard copy, right? That's not a hard copy sound?
No, I think hard copy was more like this is a current affair.
Oh, yeah. This
People
kinda-
confuse those.
Wait, Mory Povich is on with us today. This is his sound?
No, it's Connie Chung's, but he's married to Connie Chung.
Okay, we'll ask him
Women
about
are
it.
not property.
Vis-a-vis, Dan.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for that clarification.
And a current affair is not hard
appreciated
copy.
in these difficult times.
What's the damn breaking news?
Thank you. A good point by you.
The Codys are dialed.
the Codys are,
Locked
yes,
in.
the Codys as a team.
Shirt Tuesday, baby. Another one.
I mean, breaking news is something you normally
Yes,
get to right
yes,
away.
yes.
How
So-
often do we do breaking
All right.
news?
You interrupted his thought. What's the news?
Okay, sorry.
We don't have Roy here to tell us the news, though.
Myles Garrett on Aaron Rodgers. Quote, I think it's a good opportunity to put him in the graveyard.
Oh, wow. Whoa. We out here talking about sake and hockey and sake. And we got football.
We got sake?
We got a little sake.
Graveyard.
Soup. I'm thirsty.
We got a graveyard.
Yeah, but sans context, people think that he wants to kill Aaron Rodgers. Now, he may actually want to kill Aaron Rodgers, but every Halloween, Myles Garrett has
All
a
the
graveyard in
QBs,
front of his
yeah.
house with all the
Yeah.
okay.
Did you not know that, Dan?
Well, I was
fun.
just starved for June news. It didn't matter. I wanted to have exciting
June news.
football.
I'm not sure. I
Juice.
think
Damn it, I missed that one.
that possibly you're right. But given Myles Garrett's history with current Steelers quarterbacks, maybe he actually wants to kill him.
A lot of people were revisiting that old Mason Rudolph thing.
Yeah.
Sacred Heart has diarrhea.
Yeah.
You are on your game today, Chris Cody. You are
Like said the
flawless.
lotto.
Yeah.
A lot of people saying Sacred Heart has diarrhea.
You know, I love you as a bumbling idiot, but I can get used to this guy.
You have been in control, Chris. I don't know what to do with what has happened today. And here we're going to increase
Greg.
the degree of difficulty on you, executive producer, because now these are the hardest of lessons. We detour now into what is happening with immigration, ICE, and California.
Oh, what's happening in L.A.? Yeah, I mean...
No, hold on a second. I'm putting this in Chris's lap before we take this detour because, as you say, Mike, you've been placating the audience with, we don't do soup anymore. We're hockey covers. Well, not a lot of race or politics talk around here in the last 6 months, and it's been nice around here to not be talking about this stuff, as I've also enjoyed the relief of just sort of pushing away from what's obvious encroaching fascism and how these things began in Nazi Germany, and just the general heartbreak of watching this country, while arguing about politics or arguing about transgender and all its disguises, allows to happen daily. Something that a minority show that comes from minorities who are wildly, wildly grateful to be in this country and to have the opportunities of this country, to be turned into the other with rubber bullets and National Guard being sent politically to a left state so that you could rubber bullet protesters who are just like trying to get home through 2,000 National Guardsmen because this is what we're doing, and not noticing that it's encroaching fascism? Chris, what are your thoughts on this?
Dan Le Batard.
I hit cannonball. I swear I hit the cannonball sound, and that's what played.
He's back!
I mean,
boy's back!
Cannonball would have slapped there. Cannonball would have slapped there.
I've got some breaking news.
G2's fired.
Cannonball! Now, I needed the breaking news. I needed the Kachung.
Where'd that come from? Chris,
I thought someone in the back.
How is it that I got one Cody in here looking around for the Kachung sound and another one in there
thought it was delayed or
saying,
something.
where did this come from?
All the good work I did. I'm going to the penalty box.
Breaking news. I have the soups that have been eaten out of Lord Stanley's cup.
Okay, so the famous story we have around here is Madonna telling us that he was eating, what was it, like linguine with heavy metal bands for 3 days and a weekend out of
Probably
the cup.
Panther if it was Texas.
Yeah, I think that we have that story somewhere in our files.
Yeah,
But
but we lost our AP.
there have been... Okay, hold on a second, though. He was penalized for something. He just dismissed himself, and I don't even know what the penalty is here. Now, okay.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes for adding nothing.
In 2022, Wade Klippenstein of the Colorado Avalanche ate borscht.
Whoa, that's not a soup either, because that's cold.
Worse.
Soup. No, wait a minute. Borscht is not soup.
It's beet soup.
Soup can't be cold.
Awful.
It's beet soup.
Soup cannot be cold.
Clam chowder, but it has not been assigned to anyone. This is something, I assume it's when the Bruins won, but the player that did this, his name has not been released. Clam chowder has been eaten out of Lord Stanley, and a Finnish salmon soup was eaten by Anton Lundell, a white Anton, just 10 months ago.
Never heard of borscht before. What is borscht?
Russian beet soup.
No, I hate it. I don't even need to know what it is. I don't like it.
If you want a cold soup, you got to go gazpacho.
No, there's not cold soup.
Who's Gus?
Soup's got to be warm.
People
No,
sometimes pair it
not
with
a rule.
root beer floats. Borscht. Yep.
Soup's got to be warm.
Nobody's rule but yours.
Gestapo. We discussed this
That's
yesterday.
a totally different thing, Dan. I don't know what's going on there.
No, that's what's happening right now.
We've talked about a lot of different
Hey,
things.
Jeremy, I want to apologize for what's going on in this studio today.
What a hilarious mistake.
That's
You should-
right.
you
Just
should
let
go.
it sit. No, I'm not going to go.
That was a bad mistake.
Agreed. Agreed.
Freudian.
You're not
That's
allowed
also
to go.
not a soup.
Gazpacho is not a soup, but also Gestapo is not a soup.
No soup for you.
Gazpacho is absolutely a soup.
It's not a soup. A soup can't
for
be
the love of
cold.
God.
We discussed this yesterday. It's why Mike Ryan's pissed today. It's where we started the show.
Today's the day to do it, though.
What if you're eating split pea soup? And
That's
you-
a good soup.
And you leave it out and it gets cold. Is that a cold soup?
That is a cold
Thank you.
soup.
The defense rests.
But it's
My
just a
man.
cold soup that's been left out.
It's,
Does it
it's
cease
a
being
cold
soup?
soup.
Does it cease being soup because you left it out?
It's cease being soup I'll eat. I'm not going to eat it cold.
So that's the barometer now.
So, I mean, it's like saying you have a ball of dough and you want to call it bread. It's like all the ingredients are the same, but it's very cold. I think that because once the soup goes cold, it's still a soup, but the intention is not for you to eat that soup cold.
It can remain a soup, but it's not a soup I'm going to eat, which puts it in a different category.
You're picky.
I'm not being picky here. You put it on the poll. Would you eat split pea soup
Would
cold?
who?
Would you eat split pea soup cold?
Yes, absolutely.
You would?
Yeah.
Is cereal soup then?
Yes, it's a breakfast soup.
No.
No.
Breakfast.
We've
Please.
covered this.
No.
Breakfast soup.
It's not
That's a made-up phrase.
That is not.
It's a breakfast soup.
Pshaw.
We were talking pshaw?
Yes.
That's a proper response.
Thank
Yeah.
Pshaw?
Yes.
Yeah, you got
I
it,
have
Sean.
not heard somebody utter pshaw. Hold on a second.
Bring it
Guys,
back, Jack.
please look up the formal definition, Tony, right now of the
What
word.
is that?
Okay, it's
Got it, spell it.
P-I-S-H-A-W. I have not heard that phrase since the 60s. Chris Cody, please give me the back in my day music. I need to introduce the audience to pshaw. Pshaw is a phrase of disgust that is old even for Greg Cody's parents.
Right.
I can't believe what he just said. That word has not been said by anyone in this country in 50 years.
Look at Tony's face. He can't even figure it out.
No, no,
No,
no.
we've got breaking news.
We got breaking news in the NBA.
Play the sounder.
Play the cannonball, Chris.
Dan, the breaking news, it never stops. According to Shams Charania of ESPN, the Knicks requested permission to speak with Jason Kidd and given firm rejection from the Mavericks.
Pshaw. The Wolves and the Rockets also declined. So,
I mean, the Knicks not understand what a contract is? What is this? Get your own damn coach.
New York is full of itself right now. They just fired Thibodeau, and they're one of the best teams in the league, and we get who we want.
I
now.
say that
We're-
from a market that stole their head coach 35 years ago and has never looked back.
That's correct. New York is in the market for a coach, and they have to do better than Thibodeau. They got to get their fan base excited because their fan base is already excited. If you're going to make this move, it's
How about
not
Phil Jackson? They should try that over there. Greg, I'm so sorry that your thought got interrupted. I don't think it's Messi fatigue. I just think it's a huge, giant misstep that they're opening this Club World Cup with two relatively small clubs compared to what's available. They could have opened with Real Madrid and they'd get a guaranteed packed house.
I know, but they're opening with Lionel Messi in Miami.
Well, open with
And the
Lionel
game is
Messi
in
with
Miami.
a much bigger opponent because as a brand, the club that they're going up against is not even a bigger brand than Houston Dynamo here in
Okay,
this
but
market.
what I would say to you, have you heard what is true of the reports that they're giving away tickets on campuses and that they're
I know for a fact they were giving away tickets
know
on
for a
campus.
fact is different than I happen to know.
Yeah, I
It's
I know people plugged in on this. There isn't. First off, in this market, if you're a sports fan, on Saturday, I think your attention's on the ice, even if you like soccer more, just because of the stakes. And yes, there are stakes for the Club World Cup, but this is the first of its kind. We really don't know what we're getting into here. Over time, it may become a big deal. We'll see what kind of spectacle they come up with, and maybe this will serve as proof of concept, and the rest of the tournament, which will have some very compelling matchups later on, might actually be a draw, and this might be a thing to excite people. But out the gates, I don't think you could come to Miami with Inter Miami, understand that's a brand, and that's normal logic. I get what that is. But to pair them against an Egyptian club, that's you're hoping for host nation World Cup type atmosphere when that's not the case. You're creating something out of nothing, and you got to come out the gate strong, I think.
One thing that's clear is that there was a huge miscalculation of the attraction of this opening game at Hard Rock Stadium. FIFA has already lowered prices like 3 times to the point where the face value now is a shell of what it used to be.
Okay, so we're looking at embarrassment here. Last time soccer came here, we had brown people climbing through the pipes at the stadium because we couldn't secure it correctly.
I was there too.
So we're going to have immigration issues now. All of this shit's going to come to the World Cup. Sports is not going to be free of this crap.
No, and like I said, this competition, when it was a Confederations Cup, was a dress rehearsal. And I don't think we're going to put our best foot forward here. A lot of people are nervous about traveling to the United States. You may be on one side or the other. I think most people are generally against illegal immigration. There's a common misnomer that people think that, well, you're progressive, you just want illegal immigrants here. That's not the case. It is a general consensus on these things. But people want to be comfortable. Armed guards don't make people feel comfortable in this country. Anytime you go traveling over to Europe and you see assault rifles over there in check-ins, you're like, whoa, what is this? This is not a normal part of American life. And you're bringing it to a sporting event. That's just not a chill vibe. That's not the atmosphere that I'm going to for a celebration of sport. So I think they got a problem on their hands, and I hope this serves as a reason to soften this presence
sounds
at
like
games.
predicting embarrassment. This sounds like that's where we're headed.
Well, Infantino will not rest until every seat is filled, and he's going to give plenty of tickets away, Greg.
Right. Even if he does, though, I don't think it's going to be filled.
Is Infantino a soup?
First edible I ever took was in New York, and at the time I was breaking the law, okay? So now you can feel good about telling your story. And the guy told me, hey, just eat half of this. And so I ate half, and I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and I didn't feel anything. And he begged me just to eat half. And he did say on the front end it might take a while, but I was impatient.
Right.
Because when you smoke marijuana, you get instant gratification. And waiting an hour or two for something to kick in was not something I was familiar with.
Right.
So I ate another half, which became a full cookie. And 60 minutes later, I don't remember anything. I woke up the next morning on the floor in my wife's uncle's apartment because Abby had to throw me into a cab with her, and she took me home. And I was curled up in the fetal position, and I don't remember a thing after the second half of that cookie.
Wow.
This was last Wednesday. So, with that being said, feel free to share your story of you having 4 cookies in Colorado.
Yeah, I wolfed them down. It was 3 or 4. I didn't know
3
how.
or 4?
Yeah,
You don't ask?
Down.
You don't say, "Hey, person I'm purchasing this from, how fast should I do these?"
The guy at the thing, and it was one of those official things where they dress like pharmacists in there, and they sold me a vial of edible cookies, and it was in Colorado, so it's 100% legal. And my wife and I are getting ready to go to dinner. We popped open the thing. She had a nibble of one, and I ate, I think, probably 2 or 3. And it hit me by the time we got to that restaurant.
I just love how terrified you are of this conversation. You keep throwing in there like it's perfectly legal what I did.
To be fair to Greg, this has not exactly been, the most up and up thing to talk about for 60 years of his life.
Right, exactly.
This is a fairly recent phenomenon. We just go, oh yeah, everything's fine now.
No, and I don't, we did that because we were vacationing in Colorado, and I wanted to
Stop giving qualifiers.
I have to give a
Greg,
qualifier.
Greg, more qualifiers.
This segment is presented by LinkedIn Jobs. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/DLS. Terms and conditions apply.
What do you imagine would be the ingredients in Infantino? What do you imagine? Any?
It's got to be a noodle or a pasta of some sort, I would think.
I can't believe we forgot pho yesterday.
Yeah, a little rotini.
I think there's a bean in there for sure.
Pho is absolutely a meal, right? Pho,
Yeah.
it can't even be disputed.
It's like a deconstructed soup too. They give you all the pieces and then you pour the broth on top. I popped the first time I saw that.
Love it.
Get the pho out of here.
I have a question for the group before we bring in David Samson. None of you were as surprised as I was earlier this season when John Morant made a buzzer beater over Khalil Ware, an amazing athlete, and called him a pigeon. And it's not something I'd ever heard someone else refer to another athlete after beating them. This controversy with the Panthers cane and calling the Panthers turtles. I don't know what the insult is. I've not heard what it means to be a pigeon. I didn't understand that as an insult, and I don't understand turtle as an insult. And it seems like a hockey phrase that I'm being introduced to. And while I don't want to be the show that is during the Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final, pronouncing the names or learning how to pronounce the names of some of the players, is it Marchand or is it Marchand? I don't know what the ruling is here.
So turtle, I can Google it to see what it means for hockey, but I think what he's talking about is these are all tough guys, but then when it comes time to throw down, they go in their shell. And I know exactly who he's talking about. He's talking about Matthew Kachuk. Evander Kane and Matthew Kachuk have had a Tom and Jerry routine for the last few years. Evander Kane once famously embroiled in a gambling scandal and all that, had declared for bankruptcy. And there is a very funny video of when Matthew Kachuk was in Calgary. Remember, Flames, Oilers, massive rivalry. Going to Evander Kane while Evander Kane is being put in the penalty box. Matthew Kachuk chirping at him, "You need some money? You need me to loan you some money?" So Evander Kane's been trying to kill Matthew Kachuk for several years, if you remember, because of this horrible divorce, public, that Evander Kane's been going through. His ex-wife would openly flirt on social media with Matthew Kachuk and put out pro-Matthew Kachuk propaganda just to get under Evander Kane's skin. So when he's calling someone a turtle, the reputation of Matthew Kachuk is he only fights the guys that are weaker than him. He'll agitate, and whenever someone comes to fight him, he'll retreat.
And Dan, pigeon, obviously you're not a real hooper. Real hoopers know pigeon. You could throw the wing at them. They're just out of the way. They're flimsy. They're weak, right? That's where a pigeon comes in. If I'm backing down Mike in the post, that's easy work. That's pigeon stuff.
Okay, I'm sorry, real hooper. My bad for not
Just
being...
letting you know.
Okay,
Just letting
but
you know.
the turtle...
On the eve of the NBA Finals, we got the NBA Finals game tonight. By the way, cheap seats, 8 o'clock.
I have adopted the Panthers, but for some reason, I don't know why, I kind of like Evander Kane. Root for him. He's my second favorite player in this series.
I don't know what you're doing.
Dirty,
Wait
dirty
a minute.
player.
Super dirty.
That was Matthew Kachuk, man.
He's just a hockey player. He's like every team needs a guy like that.
Yeah. I like him.
He's just a thug.
He's like 20% above.
Who said what? He's my second favorite player. Seth Jones, number one.
By the way, the slang pigeon goes back, predates basketball, I dare say. A pigeon,
Declare, number three.
A pigeon is somebody who's a sucker, somebody who's naive.
Sucker.
Hardy R.
Okay, yes, careful.
Got to go A there.
Sucker.
Yeah, exactly.
David Samson, give me the age of the person that if I were telling you they uttered in your face, pshaw. They said pshaw to you. What is the age of that person? And please find me the history of that word. I don't want to get too far away from how Cody dates the show. Get me the back in my day music so he can tell us all about his pshaw. But what's the answer to my question, Samson?
I would say 65 and older, and I would say that it means sort of shucks. Like, pshaw. Oh, shucks.
Yeah.
I think those are close to synonyms.
That's true. It can be an apostrophe, too, I think. It can be P apostrophe SHAW, but I would say a synonym for pshaw would be harumph.
No, harumph is younger than pshaw.
No, I don't think so.
For
harumph.
sure. No, a harumph is absolutely by 20 years younger than a pshaw.
Like you've got a 30-year-old. I don't know.
Yes.
Nobody says harumph.
No, I'm not. It's not a 30-year-old. No, harumph is 7 years old. Pshaw is 90 years old.
It's actually older than that, Dan. This might be the oldest word that Greg Cody has ever uttered in his life, and it's been used. Pshaw's been used since the early 1600s.
Wow.
I think I had a stroke there.
And what does it mean?
Means contempt, some sort of contempt.
Yeah, good century. 1600s.
Thank you, Greg, for being the rock-solid icon that you are.
You're welcome.
David Samson, Nothing Personal, handles a number of different subjects extraordinarily well now, 2 hours a day on the DraftKings network, and he is here to soil all Panthers fun by telling you that, yes, the Panthers are right on the precipice of becoming the Miami Heat in this town. However, that is small business compared to being the Miami Heat in this town. And so the Stanley Cup champions, defending 2 times with 2 more victories, David, how much money do they make and why does it pale in comparison to basketball? Because this kind of excellence has not been in this town over 3 straight years very much with any of our teams ever.
So if we're going to judge franchises according to their value and what they could sell for, I would say that the NBA continues to be a much healthier league in terms of what franchises are worth. And so a dynasty in the NBA is going to be way more accretive than a dynasty in the NHL. On court or on ice, what I'm arguing is that if the Panthers win the Stanley Cup, they are the Heat on the court and on the ice. 2 titles, Stanley Cup in 3 years, but when you measure it off the court in terms of sponsorship dollar allocation in South Florida, when LeBron was doing his dynasty with the Heat, more money was heading that way, and I don't mean Carnival money. More non-Carnival money was heading toward the Heat. then is heading toward the Panthers. More buyers, more ability for Arison to monetize that franchise in a way that the Vinny Viola, a great owner, one of the best owners, probably the second best owner in South Florida sports history behind Mickey Arison, I would say that he just will not be able to get the appreciation, and I mean that both literally and figuratively, as the Heat got during the LeBron dynasty.
Guys, I wanted to go and explore something here with David Samson and the rest of you. David is not afraid to be vulnerable on his own show and give up some intimacies that are super weird, unusual, and he leaves them out there for our judgment. Your night terrors. You told me the other day that you had a terrible dream. Do you wish to share that dream with the audience?
Dan. So Dan and I tend to speak during strange hours when people are awake who shouldn't be awake. And I told him something in confidence that I had a terrible, I suffer from terrible night terrors, which is when you have nightmares and you basically are screaming in your sleep. And if you happen to be lucky enough to sleep with somebody, you get awoken by someone who is scared and wondering what will happen when they wake you, but you're making noises. And my night terrors, Dan, is I am panting, and it's the same one. It's a recurring night terror that I have way too often.
What is too often? What is too often?
There is not a week that goes by that I do not wake up screaming.
Okay, so you also are an insomniac. So when you reach deep sleep, there is terror there.
So it's why I hate sleeping, and it's why I've learned not to sleep. I view my bed. Some people love their bed. And the irony is my algorithm on social media is all these smart beds and comfortable beds and great sheets that come with giggles. And my view of my bed is it's the devil. I don't view it as welcoming or opening like an angel. I view it as fire and brimstone. So I don't like getting into my bed. I actually hate my bed. And when I fall asleep, what happens, Dan, is it's the same one. I'm being chased, and I'm being chased to be captured. And what happens is there are people on the sidelines watching like it's a game, except it's not a game. I'm actually being chased that will result in my death or my capture. And what happened the other night, Dan, is normally it is faceless, the people who are watching on the sidelines. But this time it was you and Stugotz who were on the sideline. And it was all of Meadowlark Media, but they were all blurred like it was some sort of HBO situation when I was a kid where it was scrambled and you had to look for an elbow and hope that it wasn't an elbow. That's what the face of Meadowlark Media looked like. It was just people blurred, except you and Stu were clear, like high definition. And what you were doing was you were cheering for this happening. And I was screaming and out of breath. And the next thing I knew, which is how they end, is I get woken up when I'm sleeping with somebody. And it's disconcerting. So I texted you about it. And it was, thank you for bringing that up, Dan. I don't enjoy night terrors. If anyone has any suggestions, I'm open to it.
It's horrifying.
It's horrifying. And I'm not a scared person in general. I can't tell you how scary it is. It makes me feel like I'm Tom Cruise in Edge of Tomorrow, where you're just reliving the same thing over and over, but it comes in different shapes and sizes in terms of where I'm being taken to, how I'm being kidnapped away or killed. And it causes me out loud, apparently, where I'm screaming and panting in a way that is off-putting, unfortunately, if you can ever find someone to share that with.
David, have you ever explored the psychology of that particular nightmare? Because it seems like if you're a psychologist, that they would hear that and they would go, well, that signifies this, or something of that nature.
It seems to be a pretty obvious one, by the way. Like that dream would not take somebody who's interning to be a psychologist would really. That is not a profound dream. That is
right. But what does it mean, though?
What it means is that he is surrounded at all times by mistrust that roots for his impending demise. Like that all his life he gets woken up that everyone who surrounds him, he distrusts that those people are secretly rooting for him to die.
Can I put in my application to be one of the people on the sideline? I'm trying to watch this. Sounds hilarious. I want to stand next to Stu and Dan and get my giggles in.
I do want to push back a little bit on something David said, which is he's not a scared person. Brought to you by the guy that wears anti-pickpocket pants and zippers with shorts on them.
He's got a panic room.
And also won't let me get his candy inside of his bag with my bare hand. Again, not scared of anything, but...
Let me explain, Tony, because that's a great point that you would think would be inconsistent. Lacking trust does not equal fear. And so I don't want germs in my candy bag. I don't want to share. I don't want to use public restrooms. That's germ-related. And pickpockets, do you know what a pain in the ass it is to have to get a new license, new credit card? I don't want to do any of that. It's a waste of time. So I'm not scared of having my pocket picked. I am really deliberate about not wanting to have to do what comes next.
Isn't this also brought to you by the man that when he stays at hotels, sometimes late at night goes down to the lobby so he can be around people? It's okay to be a fearful person. You're scared. It's okay.
So that's just, I don't like being alone. Absolutely. So I guess a fear of being alone is not that I'm going to get hurt. It's the fear of what happens if I need to be woken up and I'm screaming, or what happens if I stroke out and I need help. Maybe that is fear, guys. Maybe I'm wrong.
What do
Maybe
you
I'm
do
just a scared little boy.
when it's 2 a.m.? You're like, I'm lonely. When you go downstairs, what does that conversation look like with that front desk worker?
It's a doorman, and last night at it was closer to 3 a.m. because everything's an hour earlier now because the show pre-production on Nothing Personal is 6:25 a.m. Eastern because the show starts at 7. Last night we were talking about the Yankees and whether or not Aaron Judge will get help from Giancarlo Stanton and when that help will come because Stanton had a rehab outing in Double-A last night. So we talked Yankees, and it's funny in the city in the middle of the night. There is not a lot going on except people who you really don't want to hang out with. But my doorman's awesome.
Okay, I have 1,000 questions. All right. Tony, my first question is, why were you laughing there?
Why was the whole thing, or just in general?
You were laughing throughout.
Production meeting is at 6:25 on the dot, and Coca's never late. Is he a punctual guy, David?
Oh, 1,000%. We're never late. We are on the Zoom getting ready for the show at 6:25 a.m. every day.
Tony, why are you laughing at this, that he would be a punctual person who fears for his life? Why is the thing that you noticed in all of the details that he just gave us, wow, David's punctual? Yeah, because he's afraid.
No, Coca's punctual.
No, everyone here is punctual.
Not everybody here.
No, obviously not here. No one here is accountable for anything. But of all the stories he just told, how is the thing that you're laughing at that he's punctual?
It's just it's a microcosm of who David is, right? It's the zippers, it's the pants,
zippers on shorts.
Well, put that. Yes, you mentioned that. In fact,
okay.
I'm
It's
sorry. You know
industry.
what?
Minor penalty, 2 minutes, stumbling.
They are not zippers with shorts on them. Get out. You've got to leave the room, Tony. Yes, Tony, you said zippers with shorts on them.
Me?
Yes.
I mean,
you get out,
just
Tony.
a mistake. You
He
misspoke. We're live.
He has
pal.
zippers on shorts, and I'm the one that's getting kicked out.
You said zippers on
Gestapo
shorts.
soup.
Yeah, that's what
And
you
this
said.
has stayed in that seat.
That's right.
How about you fight the power,
We gonna
pal?
get back to that, or
We will get back to that in a second. Put on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Do you hate your bed? Put on the poll as well. Can you be a fearless person if you're afraid of people's hands in your candy bag? I think, David, that you've just had an enormous blind spot revealed, which is that you like to think of yourself as a fearless person, and you are fearless in many ways in many areas, but there are many areas where you are not fearless, where like what you have just described as a night terror is, and I wouldn't blame you, you would be afraid to fall asleep.
I'm governed by caution, but I'm also, it happens so often that I've learned that why would I want to go to sleep if I'm able to function and do shows or run a baseball team or run a marathon? If I'm able to do that without sleeping, then why would I put myself in a position where I'm risking the possibility, if not probability, of being chased down or kidnapped or killed? Why would I want to enter into that? I don't have like sex dreams. I don't have dreams where I'm floating above and everyone's loving me and I'm loving on them like we're doing ecstasy. I don't have those dreams. So if I know that I'm having the bad ones, why would I do that to myself?
But Here's what I can't understand. Why are you living with this recurring nightmare that causes you such pain? Why don't you seek counseling or something of that nature to try to solve the issue? I'm not even kidding here. I'm not kidding here.
No, I appreciate it, Greg, and I have. And obviously, there's been a lot of hours of therapy, but the problem is the night terrors are so far down the list, we never get to them.
Wow.
Oh, my God. All right, so we will save those. I put off on a file to the left, because we've got a lot of things to talk about. Another day when we go through some of David Samson's other deep issues. Yes, I'm sorry. That file cabinet to the left.
You were putting it to your right.
Yes, I know.
Man. So it's our. Okay.
Chris is locked in again.
Chris, just put in a file cabinet.
Or at least I was starting to say that until his most recent contribution.
Chris, this is what I want. I want an actual file cabinet. What is that?
We have breaking news. I have audio of how Brad Marr. That guy. I don't want to give it away. I don't. If I say it, I'm gonna. I now know how he says it.
Okay, Chris.
I now know how
Chris,
he says it. So if I say it, I'm gonna give away how he says it.
The setup to this, David. What do you think Chris was just trying to explain there as the executive producer setting up this story?
I think that he was trying to tell me that he listened to Nothing Personal, or how I dealt with it is I said both Marchand and Marchand during the course of a segment because I don't know which it is, so you just do both.
Okay, so now we have breaking news right now. You're telling me that Brad Marchand, I would call him Marchand. It seems like it would have an undercurrent of French to it. I think it would be proper to be Marchand, and I think it's been culturally appropriated that Americans have ended up making it a harder Marchand. So we're about to learn whether I'm erroneous in my reckless speculation. I say Marchand.
This was many years ago. He was asked, how do you pronounce your name?
Brad Marchand.
Dan, you're right. Wow. Dan was right. But also, it's not just American. It's like the Chiclets guys can't pronounce this guy's name worth a lick. It's become Marchand. And I'm like, do I have this wrong? I assumed it was Marchand, but all these hockey guys are saying Marchand.
Give me that one more time, though, because is it Marchand or Marchand?
He puts the emphasis on the first syllable. Yeah.
Let's listen again.
Brad Marchand.
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 So everyone's saying it wrong?
That can't be right.
Yes.
None of us
he's
have
the
said it
only
right
one saying
for
it
He's
right.
wrong.
He's the only one saying it right.
Hopefully he's not here long enough that you can actually get used to how.
All right, Mike, you are looking at 2 games away from an all-time bad take.
What, that I don't like him? No, it's just a personal preference.
No.
Told you this. He's kind of he's backtracked on the bad player.
What, that he's a rotational winger?
You said he was bad when he first got.
Yeah, he was bad, and then he got put on the third line, and the third line does what the third line does.
Wait a minute.
It was incredible, that amazing goal that he didn't hit in. And also, that open net with Stuart Skinner 15 feet away from the crease. Wow, the ability.
Okay, David Samson, you have seen what stubborn looks like. Mike Ryan is unwilling to concede anything, even though he's looking to be all-time wrong on Brad
He's a
Marchand.
good player for them. He's also
the MVP of the Stanley Cup if it ends today.
Oh, kiss my ass.
I think Bennett's the leader. I think Bennett's the leader.
Bennett's got the most goals than Conn Smythe. And also, we do this thing where Sergei Bobrovsky can't win the Conn Smythe. He's been the most consistent player throughout the playoffs. Get out of here with Brad Marchand.
Good old kiss my
and
ass.
I'll pronounce it the way I
Marchand,
want to. Winning
Marchand.
Conn Smythe.
Marchand.
Stop that. Don't let. Also, did Roy reveal that he's a member of the Pro Writers Association?
Yeah.
First year.
For his tweets?
No vote.
Where can I find his column?
No votes. That's why he doesn't. That's why Dwork has the vote for Conn Smythe. And
Wait,
Roy
how
doesn't.
is it? But he's a part of a writers association. Did anybody say, where do you write? Where can I find your stuff?
I thought that. I didn't say it.
It's a good question.
Where does he write?
Let's do it.
Sam Reinhart 2-1?
Thank you. We were too busy thinking about soup to address that question. Maybe you can bring Roy in. I think it bears answering. Mike, I'm going to have to do something, though, about when the sports argument has escalated to the highest of alerts, which is when somebody in the argument is saying, "Oh, kiss my ass."
Yeah.
I believe no,
Yeah.
don't say yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
don't
kiss
say
my ass
no.
with Brad Marchand being Conn Smythe.
No.
Out of here.
ICB.
Marchand. I'll say how I want to say
You don't
it.
get to end an argument just by putting the line and kiss my ass, and then no one can go over it.
Oh, get out of here.
No,
He's not
you
even the
don't-
most valuable
Kiss it,
player on
Dan.
the line.
No,
Kiss it.
Listen to me.
Lucerine and Orinen is.
Samson, kiss
I will not abide kiss my ass as a cross lost line around
Look,
here.
be happy for your team. I'm happy for my team. It's a damn shame I'm the only loyal one here.
No,
I can have a personal problem with the guy.
Samson, you're a lawyer who can talk your way out of any situation. Mike wants to do it. I'm not going to let him. He's 2 games away from an all-time bad take, no matter how much he wants to talk out of the stink under it.
The worst part about this, Dan, is what Mike is actually doing is rooting for the Panthers to win and for Marchand to be terrible. That would be his ideal situation.
What are you talking about? I love my team. Hey, you're on a Panthers line. Go ahead and do your best. I can have a personal problem with you.
I gotta say, like, I feel like we're being a little unfair to Mike. Like, who amongst us has never been on a team or worked at a place where you wanted things to work out? But there was one person in that place that you're like, I don't want things to work out for him. Like, I get where Mike is coming from.
Look, David should know. He's a World Series champion. Was happy for the guys on the field. Him? Whatever. Happy that the team won. Jeffrey Loria could do without that on his resume. It kind of chaps my ass that Jeffrey Loria gets to be a champion forevermore.
So now
when
Dan's
the guy was a terrible owner.
Dan's got to kiss a chapped ass?
Yeah, my ass is chapped because of Jeffrey Loria. I'm not happy for him. Happy my guys won, though. Miguel Cabrera, Mikey Lowell, thank you.
Put it on the poll. Is the best ass to be kissed, chapped at Le Batard Show?
That's a poll.
David.
That's a terrible poll.
No,
question.
it's a great one. Thank you.
Kiss my chapped ass, Dan.
I can't believe that you have escalated this conversation to that just to deflect from how wrong you're going to be. We'll get back to it.
Well, how am I wrong? My whole thing is I posited he's a bad person. Do you have evidence?
No, you said he was a bad player.
You said he was a bad player,
Every
Mike.
Panther coach and player says he's one of the best guys they've ever been around.
I don't care.
No, look.
There's plenty of people. There's a lot of people that are like, hey, this president, he's my guy.
Look, Paul Maurice with Wonderful Human Being, that's where I draw the line. Kiss my ass style on Maurice, you're a liar. Like,
He doesn't say it about everybody.
No, well, that's fine. He's wrong. Wrong and a liar.
He literally said it about Noshek, and that guy is anybody.
He really liked our second period.
Paul Maurice is on the fumes of his own supply. He's filled with love. He's very happy. Everyone's now the best.
They're really good.
No, the
I
really,
lost it.
the really though is a good Paul
Really
Maurice.
good second period.
Okay, I was wrong about him being a rotational winger. Clearly, he's been really good these playoffs. He's been a good player for the Florida Panthers. I'll happily.
No one likes to admit when they're
no
wrong.
one
more
likes
than
admitting that they're wrong more than I am. But my main point of contention is he's a piece of garbage.
Okay,
and you
no, this is
cannot. You can pull all the data
unnecessary.
points you want, pal, to try to
Don't do
convince
this.
me I'm wrong about that.
do this.
But I am not wrong.
It doesn't-
Brad Marchand, garbage person.
Brad Marchand.
Brad Marchand.
Okay. All right. So there we are. Garbage person. That's too strong, I think. And
Not strong
You
enough.
think?
Yeah, let's have some coffee. I'll tell you what I really think about the guy.
Let's have some.
We'll say it over some coffee.
What you said before that.
Well, my feelings about Brad Marchand
Are we gonna
don't
get
need to be public consumption.
You ever got coffee with Mike?
Yeah.
He opens up.
I open up.
Wait a minute. He just sent me over his shoulder past the file cabinet I had put to my left. He sent me over his shoulder to go have coffee with him to get his honest thoughts.
Yeah. I'm sure.
But
Nevin,
you just said he was a garbage person.
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
Those are the
Look,
public thoughts, Dan.
No, I'm sure there are people that were like, Nevin Shapiro, I'll listen to his podcast. Good guy. Not for me. I don't like him. Prove to me that I'm wrong about this. A personal opinion. You can't. He's a rat.
Okay. Garbage person, I believe. Okay. You called Julius Randle that, and then
And I was right.
And a couple of weeks ago, we put him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and you guys should
You should-
borrow from me.
yes.
Admit when you're wrong.
Well, that one's the most wrong. That was an insane thing.
Please cut that for the Sueys. There was a lone dissenting voice that aged very well.
Okay. We don't need to go from what we were just talking about to celebrating you being right.
Oh, please. It's one of my
Julius
favorites.
Randle.
The only look, first place admitting I'm wrong because I'm a king that way.
right,
Second
you are.
place, reveling when I'm right.
Is chicken soup the king of the chicken soups, David Samson?
No, matzo ball soup is.
Thank you, David.
Where's my soup?
We finally have the proper representation on this show.
I know that.
If you haven't had matzo ball soup, anyone there? There's only one thing I heard you say that is so wrong that it hurts me. Gazpacho is 100% a soup. It's not even an argument. There's no one who would say it's not a soup but you, because you have some weird view of temperature as being correlated to the definition of soup, which is absolutely not.
Never feel more righter than when David Samson disagrees with us.
That's correct.
I love it. If I know that David Samson disagrees with me, I feel so much better about my position. Also, I'm sorry to alienate the only audience, but we just not going to say anything about this cashmere fatigue sports coat that he's rocking.
Well, what do you think of his wardrobe in general? He's got a lot of jackets. Each of them makes a statement.
I think he dresses like a lie. Like if you would put a lie in clothes, that's what I would imagine it dresses like. What?
Dominique, stop.
Stop
and
what?
Get the picture of Cameron Diaz off the screen.
You've been doing something new with your hair, and the dark contrast behind you isn't really doing it. I was getting coffee talking shit about Brad Marchand the other day, and I looked at the DraftKings network. You're on now for 2 hours. I'm like, what is he doing? Did someone do this to him?
He's had a glow up. His introduction, I don't know, David, you can tell me how much it was focus group. You can tell me how many dissenting opinions you had your house of your new presentation, which has new music and a lot of flair, a lot of David Samson flair that some people might find objectionable.
Well, listen, I'm all into the hate watching and the love watching, but I think if you go to the weekly meeting, you may find out that Nothing Personal is doing quite well. And thank you for that, Dan. Thanks for the opportunity. And what you'll notice is this is days 1 through 6 of a new haircut is when the hair looks like this, and then it starts getting combed to the side starting day 7, and that goes day 7 to approximately day 20 to 25.
6:25 in the morning. Don't be late.
He's very precise. His life seems like a real horror, and it sounds to me also that Mike Ryan was rooting in that crowd of people while you were winning the Marlins championship. As one of your night terrors, he was rooting against you but for everyone else. This is why your dreams are horrors.
That was a pretty good example of what I'm going for here with Brad Marchand. I don't like the guy, love the team. Love the laundry. Oh, seemingly the only person in this studio that cares about the sweater. I put the shield above all, folks.
You too, folks.
Marchand. The way you can remember it, Mike, is garbage.
No, he's not going to be here for
Marchand.
long. Not for long. How about that?
The whole fighting in hockey thing had me thinking last night of how it's such a thing that we accept in this particular sport. And I was wondering if we could come up with other things in other sports that would be weird in any other sports. Because Dan often likes to say, what if in a basketball game? Like, obviously, we flip out because it's not something that's acceptable culturally in that sport, and also race. But there are other sports. So I was thinking, the first thing that came to mind for me was baseball managers wearing full uniforms. If we showed up to a football game and Mike Tomlin got on shoulder pads, helmets, and full suit.
Not Tomlin. It's Andy Reid.
great.
It's Andy Reid.
Oh,
it's like you got Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin can play the part.
Is that the most ridiculous? A hockey coach in full uniform would be ridiculous.
No, Dominique, let me explain. Baseball managers are the only managers or coaches who actually go between the lines. So managers go to the pitcher's mound to make pitching changes. So you can't walk onto a field of play not wearing a uniform. That's why managers wear uniforms.
What about trainers?
I love where your head's at, but no, trainers are only on the field in case of like emergency. It's like why doctors do not wear uniforms either. But a manager and coaches are part of your roster, and they access the field.
But that explanation doesn't make it less ridiculous. Like they don't. That's just a rule they made. They don't have to be in uniform to do that.
I've seen Spo at half court call a timeout. He's been on the field before.
I like the idea of Stan Van Gundy in like a full basketball uniform.
He's wearing the undershirt though, right?
Yeah.
We've gotten away from David Sampson's jacket, but also Greg Cody had a killer in there that no one noticed because a stray came across the sky, and it was a beautiful shot out of the black and white 1919s of What About Connie Mack got shouted by
Greg's
Greg
right,
Cody.
by the way.
And
Baseball managers didn't used to wear uniforms. I mean, they wore, not only didn't they wear uniforms, they dressed up like they were going to church on Sunday. Oh. Some of them wore straw hats and boaters, and they really did it up. Why not that again? What rule said, I mean, there probably is a rule, but what rule should be in place that says a manager has to be in uniform to walk to the hallowed pitcher's mound to make a change? Why?
One of the great arguments that we have had is whether or not managers can wear some non-uniform stuff in the dugout, and they actually get fined when they don't dress properly and they look like schleppers by wearing the cutoffs. Like Belichick and what he does with the cutoff sweatshirts, that is not allowed to be worn by managers, and they get spoken to by the league when they do it. and get fined.
Yeah, because the NFL isn't a big success. I mean, nobody watches the NFL, so Belichick wearing a hoodie, that's going to kill the whole sport. What is the logical reason that says a manager has to be in uniform to walk to the mound?
I just think it looks bad. Let me just say what I used to love the way Tom Landry looked or Dan Reeves, and I used to love when NBA coaches, Pat Riley to me was what changed the NBA in terms of style and coaches. Can you imagine for 1 second Pat Riley wearing a quarter zip on the sideline? It's just patently offensive and ridiculous. And there's now 15 assistant coaches, and they all look the same, and it makes me crazy. I think that they could dress up and look nicer, and they should, and they get clothing allowances as part of contracts and sponsors, etc. But again, Pat Riley in a quarter zip, I don't think so.
All right, David, I need to ask the executive producer something. That music is usually reserved for Greg Cody. It shouldn't be up while he's talking, although he was also giving antiquated opinions. We have matzo ball soup that has arrived for Dominique Foxworth. It is here. We will have a payoff at the end of this segment about whether or not it's delicious. How does it look to you?
Be honest.
It looks great.
Don't let it get cold.
He's so
Hold on,
great.
We're going to give
Is
it
it a
4.5
floater?
minutes.
Yeah,
That's not fair.
Don't let it get cold.
Yeah, it'll stop being a soup if it gets
go
cold.
ahead and have it, but I've got a problem because
Looks good.
There are two topics I want to get to with
balls.
David Samson and Chris Cody. I'm going to allow you the executive producer privilege, because you're on a hot streak today, of making the judgment. Rick Pitino and Jay Wright have said no to the Knicks job. Mike Malone isn't a candidate according to the New York Post, so now you've got no Jason Kidd. You're being denied the ability to get a coach that's going to have more sizzle on it than Tibbs. Somebody like Rick Pitino says he's not interested. Jay Wright, he's not interested. So now you're stuck with what? Chris Quinn? Taylor Jenkins? Like, what's going to happen with the Knicks? Or
I'm not sure.
Good answer.
Boy's on fire today.
Very good answer. Accurate.
would you go to their funeral with David Samson?
I think you know how I'm going to play this game, Dano. Would you attend their funeral with David Samson?
Seems like I don't know how you're going to play this game.
You just remembered
There it
F
is.
me.
Yeah. Love a good off mic.
What was that setup?
Me.
Chris, who's
Hey.
going to be the next coach of the Knicks?
And don't point
Or you-
fingers.
All right, I'm sorry.
One
Accountability.
topic or the other with David Samson. I know he wants to talk about the Knicks coach, but I guess you're choosing would you attend their funeral? So let's play.
Would you attend their funeral? Carlos Alvarez.
The balls are the best part.
Carlos Alvarez is the former mayor of Miami-Dade County who got recalled after the stadium was approved, and he became a bodybuilder. If you Google a picture of Carlos Alvarez today, you will not believe what he looks like. And I've not spoken to him since I left.
You have
and
not
I
spoken
wouldn't
to him
expect
since he gave you everything that you needed.
Exactly. So no, I would not attend his funeral.
Dominique
He
is
got
avoiding.
recalled for what he did for you.
Dan, I'm seeing the same thing you're seeing. He's avoiding the balls.
Dominique is avoiding the matzo balls, which
That's
are the
the
best
good
part.
stuff,
That's the
dude.
best part of the soup.
How's the soup? I mean,
You're not gonna.
I mean,
Did you just call him a mean?
No.
Yeah, what?
He said,
How's-
I mean,
exactly. Thank you.
the soup.
He's also in our Panther chat.
The soup itself.
That was
Delicious.
for sure in a mean.
It was not in the mean. It was I mean.
I need a replay.
Minor penalty. 2 minutes. Stumbling.
You want to admit when you're wrong? It's okay with me, pal.
Why would you throw an
Dominic
I
got
mean
it.
at the
How's the soup? I mean,
This is a safe space for admitting when you made a mistake.
that's crazy.
I tried to have your back, dog.
Would you offer someone
crazy.
a caretta from a Jewish deli?
Croqueta?
Croqueta?
No,
Yeah.
that's not how
Did you call it a
said.
caretta?
That is not how
Well, he
you
was
said
thinking of La
croqueta.
Caretta,
I called it the Gestapo earlier.
I'm going to serve this.
You can't give a matzo ball soup from anything but a Jewish deli and ask him to judge
Yeah,
the
where
matzo
did we
ball
get
soup.
where did
How
we get
did
this
you
matzo ball
just
soup
say
from?
croqueta?
I thought it was crojetta. Crogetta.
Oh my God.
Oh,
I heard
Croqueta.
Coretta, and I could see
Coretta.
him conflating
Yeah,
La
I think
Caretta with croqueta.
that's probably what happened
Yeah,
there.
if you know who Carlos Alvarez is and what he went through to get David his stadium, it is an amazing revelation that David's like,
That's
I'm
it.
not going to his funeral.
Let's thank you for that photo. Thank you guys for giving us some visual aids to what it is that we're talking. He's going to leave a good corpse.
David, it's from Roasters and Toasters, so they did get it from the right place.
Okay.
Bob,
Are they floaters or are they sinkers?
I mean, it's just a giant.
Shallow
two
bowl,
giant
hard to
balls,
tell.
Giant balls.
Too big, the balls.
Bob Dupuis.
It's Bob Dupay.
No, no. So this is
I have that
artificial
audio,
intelligence
too. I
again.
have that audio,
yeah,
too.
no, it's Dupuy.
I don't care. I don't care what
thought
you're
it was. I thought it goes by Dupay, but that is not the pronunciation of that. It's Dupuis.
Get me that audio.
I will be going to Bob Dupay's funeral. No matter where it is, and I expect that it will not be close to where I am, though there is a chance it's in Florida somewhere, though I'm not there at that moment, but I will work it into trying to come to the Miami studio. But yes, Bob Dupay, 100%, I will be at your funeral.
Why are you talking directly to him?
Because he likes your show?
Bob Dupuis. Manny Diaz Sr.
Dupay.
Manny Diaz Sr.
Toupee.
That depends when he dies. So we have a relationship. Well, that's very important. If he dies during one of our times that we're not getting along, then I won't go. But if he dies during a time when we're schmelkus, then I would go. So again, that will be very time dependent whether I go to Manny's funeral.
What is schmelkus? What is schmelkus?
Loving, together, all good.
One more thing here before we let David Samson go, and we can all critique this together, and we can all watch the verdict or get the verdict from Dominique on the matzo ball soup, even though he didn't eat the matzo, which is cheating, and he's afraid of being called anti-Semitic.
Matzo.
I also
Gotta get
have
the matzo ball.
I also have the replay of what Tony said. If we want to relive
Which
that.
was,
All right, so wait a minute. So you and Tony were laughing in the back room there, and I wanted that show. I wanted the show that Dominique and Tony were laughing about there. What was so funny?
Couple of things, Dan. We had the jump shot, and Dominique was like, how do you remain a means friend with that jump shot? You know, long story, viral decontextualization and whatnot. But we were also commenting on the texture of said matzo ball, and me and Dominique were looking at it and being like,
Careful.
And we were saying that it looks delicious, some great texture, and it
Yeah.
probably is incredibly yummy.
Just
Probably.
the textures. You know.
You're just not going to eat it, so then it
I'm
can't.
absolutely going to eat
It is a mushy texture.
But it can't be the best soup if you're not
delicious.
willing to eat all of it. Anyway, here it is, the new opening to David Samson's new show. You guys tell me what you think. David Samson, you tell me how this has gone over with everyone. Nothing personal, every day, 2 hours long. This is how it's introduced to you every day. David works very hard on this. This is a stylistic choice, like his jacket. David is purposeful about the details. Here's the opening to David Samson's show.
No.
Oh.
This kind of feels like your funeral.
Knock
Gotta
off
have-
Bobo O'Reilly.
The Dominique hug has to be in here. Come on. Give it to me.
Royalty free The Who. I love this.
Oh.
Come on. Give me the hug. Give me the hug.
No hug.
Man, no hug.
Yeah. For the audio audience, it felt like David Samson had died, and we were putting together a tribute video.
I don't think that's
It
the
keeps
open.
going.
I don't think that's the open to a show.
It's like about a UFC fight.
This is absolutely royalty free.
Ah, look at these photos.
Look at this. Look at this.
Live.
Look at all those shirts from Cam from
Good
Modern
God.
Family.
Wow, look at that.
Oh my God.
I dig it.
Dan, you missed something very important. The 30-second countdown is required at YouTube where we're live at 7 a.m. That is not the show open. That's the countdown. Instead of just having a countdown from 30, which with nothing to look at, there's something to look at, and that's where that comes from. The opening comes when the 30-second clock goes to 0. That second 20 seconds, that's the actual opening to Nothing Personal.
So you were putting
Good to
videos
know.
together, and you're like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a video of me putting something on a table 11 times at the City Winery. That's what I'm going to use.
Let's hear Tony call.
No. I know what they're going to want to see. They want to see me get a haircut.
Could you tell a team of video producers, humanize me?
Hey, check out my shirt collection. Look at all my shirts and jackets.
Anything else?
Let's hear Tony calling Dominique Amin.
How's the soup, Amin?
You're not going to.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, guilty.
How's the soup, Amin?
You're not going to.
I mean, I speak quickly. I mean.
I mean, I don't do that. I did in
Totally
college.
lying, trying to make him feel better. I mean,
Thank you. Thanks for that.
getting away with it was much more fun. I mean, seriously.
I had my day doing that. So
We used to get dime bags at a place in Hillside, Queens. It was called the Tie Door. Oh, was it fantastic? You never saw the guy. You just saw his hand. You would see his
like
hand.
a first touch in a marriage.
Yeah, you would open up this little sliding door in Hillside, Queens. You would see his hand. He would see your hand. You'd never see each other. He'd put weed in your hand. You would put money in his hand, and that was it. That was a transaction. It was great. Called the Tie Door.
Weed first, then money?
Money first.
Oh, there
well,
you go.
it was like you would do it at the same time, but occasionally.
So you'd see both hands.
Yes, correct.
Once every 6 months, you'd hear stories of like some guy sticking his hand and then getting arrested on the spot. The cuffs right on the wrist. That's all you see, the wrist, and then.
I always wondered, is today going to be the day? Because I went every day. And it wasn't far from my house. But is today the day that it's going to be a cop on the other side of that door? I did. I feared that every single day. But it didn't stop me from going out there every single day. Hop, skip, and a jump.
Is that fear worth it?
Yes. The fear is what made it. Greg's right. Now you walk in, they're dressed like they're experts,
Right.
pharmacists.
Yeah.
It made me a little nervous. I mean, more nervous than meeting a guy at a tie door, never seeing him, just exchanging things in our hands.
That's right.
I mean, what happened to you after eating 3 or 4? Like, can you?
Back to you.
Yeah.
we went to a restaurant and spent $300 on appetizers. And
Hell yeah.
And I remember, I'm not a fast talker. If anything, I'm a slow, deliberate talker who says a lot of ums and ahs.
Right.
My wife at that restaurant accused me of speed talking, of talking faster than I ever had in my entire life, which I wasn't even conscious of. So yeah, it hit me very hard.
All right.
Enjoyable though. I have no idea what I ordered for my main course.
3 or 4, though, man.
Yeah.
Are you sure you didn't do cocaine?
No, they were edible.
I've never had
cookies.
someone really high and be like, "This, you shut up, dude."
I know. Believe me, that was new to me too. Because normally you're talking like a 1970s, rock DJ.
Or is it possible that life had slowed down so much for your wife that by
It
comparison,
seemed like you were-
you were
Right.
talking normally, but to her you were talking at an incredibly fast rate of speed.
That's possible. That's a possibility.
Oh,
That's a
my
good point.
God.
Did the waiter walk up and you're like, "I ate edibles" because you're just like terrified?
No. Believe me.
It's legal here. I'm on vacation.
Believe me, I'm sure he sensed it. Working in that state and seeing somebody in that state, I'm sure he sensed something.
How much was the bill that night?
Oh, gosh. I think we ordered a nice bottle of wine, which always jacks it up. So I think it was like a $400 bill.
I mean, you were hammered.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
4 cookies and a
Yeah.
bottle of wine.
Oh, my gosh.
Probably like
Jesus
7
Christ.
Miller Lights.
Right. Exactly. And that was at the restaurant. But seriously, no, it was a nice time. I
Well,
love Colorado. I really do.
It's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the whole the scenery, the vibe of it.
Mhm.
We went to the Red Rocks Amphitheater just to walk around because it's such a stunning venue. It's a tourist attraction in and of itself. So.
Red Rocks is my favorite venue
Yeah.
of all time.
It's
of
a-
all the places I've seen the Dead, that and Shoreline Amphitheater.
Supposedly, it's one of the great venues. All the musicians rave about it, like the acoustics and the background and the seating arrangement. It's just beautiful. I would love to see somebody perform there. I never have.
Mike loves music. Have you ever been to Red Rocks?
I have not.
I would highly suggest that you get out there at least once in your life.
Yeah, I'm getting
It's
to
worth it.
Yeah.
Just waiting for the right show.
Everyone wants a service dog with Steve-O.
We are joined by a very famous persona from America, and also Steve-O, because Wendy from Peru is an internet sensation. Go ahead and tell the story, Steve-O, before we get in here. And always thank you for making time for us. But tell us why it is that your dog is more famous than you are, because I didn't think it was allowed that you can just find a dog on the streets of Peru, fall in love with it, and then just bring it over to America. I thought, didn't Johnny Depp or somebody get in trouble for trying to bring an animal into the country without the proper permission? Like,
well, that was the other way around. He already had the dog and was trying to smuggle it into Australia. I was in Peru for a mountain climbing expedition, and I found Wendy here on the streets. And fortunately, the mountain climbing expedition was like a TV show, and the production jumped through all the hoops for me. So I really didn't have to do anything. And I was able to bring Wendy home. And the video I made about finding her, it garnered over 100 million views on Facebook, making it the most viewed video I've ever put on the internet. And it's kind of devastating for an attention whore like me. You know, I've like, with the lengths that I've gone to, you know? But there it is, man. So Wendy and I, we are on a rock tour as we speak, barreling towards Syracuse for a show tonight. And we've got shows every single night in the Northeast U.S., for the next 12 days. Albany tomorrow night.
This video is adorable. Is Wendy's a service animal?
She is. You bet she is. Yeah, because I have terrible issues.
You should take more dogs, though. I mean, it seems to be working for you.
I have terrible issues is a great sentence that would explain the last 25 years of your life. You've done great sort of capitalizing on, let me take a tour bus through my terrible issues.
Right. That's about right, man. I have terrible issues.
and she brings you genuine comfort when she's not a professional service dog license, and you've got the proper paperwork. Steve-O is now a paperwork man with a legitimate service dog that he needs for comfort.
You know what? I'm gonna break your guy's heart right here. There's no such thing as official certification for a service animal. Oh. And because and I did the deepest dive, man. I found the best dog trainer on the planet, and they were the ones who told me, yeah, there's no such thing as official certification. You know, we can sure train her, but that's never. I got a note from my doctor. I got some little weird thing online that means nothing, which says certified service animal, but yeah, there's no such thing. You can ask a blind person with a seeing eye dog, and they'll tell you that there's no such thing.
More to the point.
So we make fun of. Yeah, we travel around and we make fun of service dog vests.
I just figure that you find genuine comfort here, and people might be surprised to learn that one of a man who has been so fearless in his life would admit to needing the.
Join us in the cheap seats tonight. Dan and the Kid Mare are watching Game 3 of the NBA Finals, presented by Remy Martin. Catch the live stream starting at 8 p.m. on the Le Batard Show YouTube channel.
Is there any chance that Greg Cody is here tonight to do 3 shows within 24 hours, one of them at 8 p.m. tonight, introducing the Kid Mare? The show is going to be extraordinarily Latin, the most Latin NBA coverage you will find. This demo,
maybe ever.
Tony,
I'll be here.
Tony, this demo, the Unicorn Hispanic demo, underserved. We're going to have Jorge Sedano and the Kid Mero and Boppy, it's going to be the most Hispanic English language broadcast of an NBA game there has ever been.
Wow.
Will Greg Cody be there?
Just to balance it, you mean? You want the gringo there? Or what are you getting at?
I was inviting you to the party.
You never know. Anything's possible.
Isn't Sedano working the game?
He is.
Anything's possible.
And with us. Nice.
It's a big get.
It's going to be very Hispanic.
I'm excited for this game. Yeah. It's the NBA Finals. I like it.
Are you going to be here tonight?
What does that mean?
Well,
You can't get away with that.
That's what he says when all of a sudden, hey, I bone up all the time if I have to get ready for the Pacers.
I'm going to meet the moment.
After 2 years of the NBA is dead ratings talk, he
I've
now
ordered the guns just so I
for
can
dorks.
nail Nembhard.
Okay.
No, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here talking ball.
Who's going to be here? Who are we doing this with?
So I let you know as well.
It will be Dan, the Kid Mero, Chris, Tony, Jeremy, Mike Ryan, and Juju.
Mike Ryan Ruiz.
Jeremy also counts as Latin.
I do count. I don't often get that respect.
Can you
I
count
do
in Spanish?
No, he's Cuban.
No, I'm saying, can you count
Uno,
in Spanish?
dos.
Uno, dos. Trace.
Jeremy is not a Hispanic name. Jeremy is.
It really isn't.
I was supposed to
Jeremy
be.
is.
I was supposed to be Ephraim. Hebrew
Now
name.
that would have been. Now that would have worked.
It's my grandfather's name.
I was supposed to be Shawn Michael. I would have loved that. Still time.
Sweet chin music.
Greg Cody, I have for your display, you did not know that this was coming, but because you have not been involved enough in the show right now, I had specially curated for this moment a Greg Cody wheel of topics. Is there a name for this wheel, the wheel that we have commissioned to have made? Is there a name that you would have it have as the wheel of just your choice? It's totally about you, your narcissisms,
Wow,
and it
perfect.
will be subject matter of your choice. But should it have a name? Would you like it to anything to name it?
Wheel of Good Fortune.
Okay.
Spitballing, no bad
That's
ideas,
fine.
no bad
all right,
ideas.
no, we'll do
What
it. We'll
about-
do it. Here are the topics on the Greg Cody Wheel of Good Fortune. He has an objection to the name Minicamp. He has the take that he is bored with someone's dominance. He has Aaron Rodgers takes, and he has that championship rings have become an embarrassment. Wow. And he wants to also talk about how good of a soup he can make because he's the originator of soup of the day.
Thank you.
So let's spin the wheel, and Greg, you tell me what it is that lands on. Good work, executive producer. You've had an inconsistent
That wasn't there. That's
day
GQ's
today.
fault. Yeah.
I mean, this button thing is just messing with me.
Okay, very good. Good
Red buttons.
explanation. What did it land on there, Greg?
I have to read what it landed on. Don't we have a Vanna White here? Who?
No, what did it land on?
What did it land on?
I think it
He's
landed
looking
on.
What did it land? What do you mean? Do you think? Can
Take
you
a
not
look,
see
take a look.
it?
You gotta
a
squint
look
at the board.
Take
It's
a
small.
look.
It's
Look.
small.
Yeah,
just
no,
needs a new
yeah.
prescription in his
I was
glasses.
looking in the wrong direction over there.
There's,
now I
there's
see
two
it.
wheels. It's confusing.
Yeah,
Okay,
now I
so-
see it. Let me talk a second about Aaron Rodgers, if you will.
What do you mean?
It landed on Aaron
It
Rodgers.
landed on
Land
Aaron
on?
Rodgers.
What did
Right.
it land on?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Aaron Rodgers. That's why I say I'm going to talk for a second about Aaron Rodgers.
But what did it land on?
Aaron Rodgers.
Smooth.
I don't think it landed on Aaron Rodgers. I think it landed on ice.
It's one of those spin again ones where it like landed right
Right
on
in
the
the
Oh,
middle.
what a
Yeah,
waste of
that's what
time that
it
is. Have you ever been in like a radio promotion? Why do you have a spin again thing? What?
Yeah, I don't get that.
At
either.
that point, I would just give you the
for?
shirt. You want a 790 shirt? Have it,
Give me
buddy.
the bumper sticker. Take a chick.
So what did it land on? I don't have my glasses on. I can't see it.
We're gonna do a respin.
It said spin again.
What did it land on, Greg? What did it land
It
on?
landed on Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
Twice in a row, apparently.
All right, take it away.
Okay, this is so weird. And Aaron Rodgers can't not be weird, okay? He got married a couple of weeks ago, and he refuses to reveal the identity of his wife. I don't understand that. What is he hiding?
Privacy? Just
What?
privacy?
Did they get married in private?
He probably feels like a target right now.
By who? Who's targeting him?
Okay, whoever he thinks is targeting.
The radical left.
What is he, David Samson?
Miles
Paranoid?
Garrett
or-
is targeting him.
No,
Miles Garrett. Miles Garrett.
Well,
Graveyard
that's
and
true.
such. You know.
No, that's fair.
You know what's amazing about what Miles Garrett did is that would indeed be death and murder, but not targeting. It probably would. The targeting part would be illegal. The putting him in the graveyard part, not really.
So I'm the only one who thinks Aaron Rodgers getting married and not refusing to reveal the name of his wife is weird?
I'm not going to give him what he wants. Greg, come with me. Let's have some coffee. All right. If you follow the Pat McAfee show, about a month and a half ago, it was very clear that Aaron Rodgers was getting married. They tried to be coy with it, not a strength of AJ Hawk's. just straight up subtlety, not a strength. So it was very clear that Aaron Rodgers had something in his personal life happen, and it was one of those things like, let me be secretive so you talk about it more. That was the perception anyways. I'm not going to undercut Aaron Rodgers. He feels plenty attacked. I'm not going to do that. Happy, as someone that read his book with his own ears, that he has found someone to be a life partner with him. That's great stuff. But everything around it is like, it's him joshing the media again in his Aaron Rodgers fashion.
Okay. I mean, it's possible that he just doesn't, or she, or he, whomever he's with, is not interested in that attention. And to the degree that he can turn that down on them, maybe he's just being a good partner.
I'm not going to just criticize Aaron Rodgers for every last thing. If he found love through complicated family relationships that Ian O'Connor wrote about and Mike thoroughly reported, listened to,
with ears.
That book will tell you that he is trying to be introspective. He is trying alternative ways, and he has a lot of broken relationships in his life. And he has found himself now with somebody, and you can listen to Danica Patrick about what being in a relationship with him was. And you can also want your privacy in this moment, because I'm guessing that Aaron Rodgers, whether he is a victim or not, it feels under attack. And anyone he loves, he wouldn't want anywhere near everything that comes with that. So if there's not one picture of her, him, anybody out there, I understand why he would want his privacy there. Who would he want to subject to that?
I love how liberal this show is. Like, we're respecting Aaron Rodgers, her, him. I'm like, what? He's probably like, what? What?
I saw someone say that this statement that he gave was essentially going, yeah, I was matrimonized.
Happy for him, though. He seems like a complicated dude. Yeah. He also doesn't seem like...
That didn't feel sincere.
No,
happy for him though. Kind of bored,
dude. Well, as the only person that read the book with his ears, I mean, people don't talk enough about his charitable works. He does not like that being talked about in the open. He does a lot of good work behind the scenes, as public and front-facing as he is. It'd be good for his brand for people to know like what a good guy he is, philanthropically speaking.
Is it really that liberal we go her, him? Like, wouldn't we have to include more variety?
Yeah, the non-binary folks.
Yeah, I don't think that we're being super liberal. I think we're being respectful because a man chose to keep it private. So obviously, we're leaving the door open to everything, every possibility.
I think the liberal aspect here is refusing to say that it's weird that he refuses to say who his wife is.
No, I dig privacy. Go for it.
Just, Greg, do you feel entitled to being in his every business, or?
I feel entitled as someone who is talking about a very, very public figure. I think if
he is not she or
okay,
he,
but she married into it just like Jordan Hudson did when she dated Bill Belichick. Yeah, whatever. No, I'm happy for him. Good, go for it. But
another insincere happy for him.
Okay,
it really doesn't feel like these things are such indifference. I'm happy for him, but it really is tossing toilet paper at him.
Well, whatever out there.
No, but it's just
least emotion ever put into that phrase.
Look, it's not.
Tell you, I don't think he's going to be bad as quarterback either. Wow. Saying good things about the man. I don't think he's going to be a bad fit for the Steelers. I think he's exactly what they need.
And we're happy for him.
And the Steelers are exactly what he needs. And whatever. And I hope he found this in his partner.
What's my favorite?
The general stubbornness in the complicated relationship this show has had with Aaron Rodgers over, yeah, we'll read books about you, dude. We're desperate to understand you. Oh, that's all there is? Okay.
Let us get out there. We're happy.
But we're happy for you. We're happy you found love.
Love.
But no, and whatever.
Whatever.
We're happy you found love. Whatever is not happiness. It's why we're not invited to the ceremony.
No, you're misunderstanding the whatever. The whatever is, I know things are different from back in my day, but I want to make it clear that I'm okay. I mean, it's like cats, like whatever. I don't care what you do.
You do you.
Yeah, you do you.
I am happy for him.
I think it's the funniest thing in the world that this is probably the most LGBTQ inclusive conversation we've ever had, and it's over the idea of a make-believe partner for Aaron Rodgers.
That's offensive to Dan.
I don't blame Jeremy at all. He's been smothered for 2.5 hours.
He did mention Alphabet Mafia
2.5 years. Yeah.
Well, okay, thank you. Good correction, Jeremy. The thing that is happening right now that I keep wanting to get back to, but I guess we might end up at the Cody wheel again, is what is happening in California, what is happening in Los Angeles. Never mind the optics of it. The optics of it are horrifying enough. The reality of what is happening there with peaceful protests and what feels like state militia being rubber bulleting about just basic American freedoms because we are now going for whiter nation. Look, Dominique, we talk about, David Samson talks about he's not a fearful person and then gives us a litany of fears. I don't think I betray a confidence when I say that Dominique is extending his trip in South Florida a couple days longer than he would like, because what is happening in Washington right now feels like it's not a welcoming place for him this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of traffic. I ain't messing with it.
Or whatever.
I want to talk about what is happening in Los Angeles, but it gets a little bit uncomfortable around here when we politicize during happy sports times. Like, I've made that change on behalf of the audience because the people who came with us sort of understand, okay, there's not a lot of left-leaning stuff in this space anymore. Like, we identify as one of the things in sports that is that at a time that it's more popular with young white adults to not be that as the country moves toward Trump and as Miami becomes this weird place where a whole bunch of Hispanics who are really grateful for being in this country, some of them, many of them Cuban, I'm surrounded now, have helped bring this thing that feels like state militia to Los Angeles, where there are peaceful protests, and we can hide under the semantics argument of, well, of course illegal people who are here committing crimes shouldn't be here, but that doesn't mean you should make all brown people and black people that. Like, of course, everyone can agree, yes, illegal criminals in this country, yes, get them out of here. But wait a minute. Who gets to decide what's illegal and criminal when you're just going to violate the Supreme Court and democracy and the Constitution and everything else in the name of, now you've got an armed militia that says every protest is dangerous, even the peaceful ones, and you can frame it that way because the people are brown.
And there's a purposeful blurring of the lines and moving of the goalposts. So this began with violent criminals who are here as illegal immigrants, and we are going to target specifically people with a violent criminal record. Then it became any criminal record at all. Now it's just become show up at Home Depot and grab as many people as you can, and then we'll figure out after whether they're American citizens, whether they have documentation. This continues to move in a direction that is horrifyingly similar to all of the other fascist dictatorships that we've seen across the last 100 years at least, because it's following the exact same textbook, which is if people are even peacefully protesting against you, you send in your militia, your military to cause havoc, to cause fear, to incite violence. Sending in military personnel to a city is not there to de-escalate. They're not trained to de-escalate. They're trained for war zones. And that's what you're turning any of these protests into when you add a National Guard that's protecting ICE as they're grabbing anyone and everyone, including story after story of U.S. citizens being detained for hours on end, separated from their family. This is only going the direction that, by the way, they laid out for us right from the beginning, and we here and a lot of other people tried to warn about. But yet, we watched a ton of people, even within our own community, Dan, that supported this, that advocated for this. And that's the part that is frustrating in that regard. But this is a use of the military against our own people. If this was happening, and I know that we do these theoreticals all the time, but if this was happening in any other country, we would be looking at that as one of the most horrifying things that could possibly happen.
The rest of the world doesn't understand how America is good with this.
And America is often judged when things like this happen in other parts of the world, and sometimes have even justified wars for it. I don't want to get into the politics of it. I know Dan said peaceful protests, and I know from conversations that I've had with people that are Trumpers, they're going to say, what's peaceful about lighting a car on fire? And they're just going to be reinforced by their algo. So what I sit back and marvel at is how this is not even what he really campaigned on. And the ability to just keep moving with the goalposts as they move. Trump himself said in 2020, you don't do this kind of move. You have to be requested by the governor. And by all accounts, this was drafted before there was even a protest because of the way that it was framed. So I'm just trying to follow. Are we for states' rights or are we against it? Because when it comes to education, when it comes to gun laws, when it comes to a woman's right to choose and what happens with her body, we lean on states' rights a lot. In fact, are you a Second Amendment person or not? Because the Second Amendment is about making sure that civilian militias can be armed in the event that the government weaponizes its military forces against its own people. Yet you're siding with the government here. There is a huge abuse of unchecked power that is going on right now, and you can counteract it by just holding up what Donald Trump said in 2020. So I'm really confused, and I'm also disheartened by we already know how far they're going to push this. We're the law and order party, yet we'll pardon everybody that rioted on January 6th and actually hurt people. There was a cop that died on January 7th who was hit with a chemical agent, and his death was ruled in the line of duty. We'll pardon anybody that is associated with that because it placated to your vision, what you deem was right. It helped your agenda. It's not about violence. It's not about peaceful protests. In fact, yesterday, Donald Trump was in the Oval Office, and maybe people want to rationalize what he said. He didn't say rioters. Nope. With the expectation of protesters coming to his military parade, his cosplaying fascist parade birthday, and the 250th anniversary of the armed forces.
Traffic.
He said that protesters will be met with strong opposition. That's not rioters. These are people exercising their constitutional right. And I'm so confused as a party that had a Tea Party movement that was holding up the Constitution is actively supporting something that subverts that very Constitution.
I think that it's really hard when you're always on your back foot trying to argue against and pointing out hypocrisy. So rarely do you win an argument by explaining to somebody why they're wrong, which I think it feels like the right thing to do. And we all have hypocrisies, but I do think that competing vision is the only way that you can kind of pull whatever potential that we have going forward. And I also think that it's a reminder, and this is a loose sports tie, but I spend most of my professional life, the most meaningful things I think I've done professionally has been with sports unions. And I know this doesn't feel like a direct tie, but it reminds me that when you are at a union, you have to fight that to force the league to follow the rules that are there, even when it appears that you're defending someone who has likely done something wrong, because the rules and due process are there for a reason. And I think that's what we find oftentimes in these political situations, or these more important social and political situations, is that if it's not happening to you, many of us find a trapdoor where we're like, okay, violating their due process is fine, because to Jeremy's point, it started with people who they said were violent criminals. Even violent criminals, you must force the government to abide by due process, because once you open that trap door, you can't then close it. And that's the most frustrating part or scary part, I guess, we're all guilty of it, where you find yourself in all right, if someone came into your house and took away a family member of yours, you'd be in the street. They are doing it. I'm not absolving myself. It is happening. We ain't in the street.
Okay, I would just say to you, just more personally, if it sounds like sermonizing to you, the way things are going, growing up in a childhood that is exiles fleeing a place where they had money to get to freedom in their teens without family assurances that they would be here and they respect and love this country and are grateful for this country. I don't know the way things are going. They were not born in this country. If there is a scenario that can arrive that has my father and mother not allowed to be here anymore, and I can't rule it out presently, given that I'm early in this administration, and what was promised to me in Project 2025 is this is exactly how you handle peaceful protests, and this is exactly how it is that you circumvent what feels like American democracy to make sure that the others never unite like a union. You can always make them the others, and you'll always have the white people on your side, as you do allow South African people into this country.
That might have changed with some tweets.
Right, but trying to make this country whiter in a way that's overt, that is political, that is hateful, and allows you to keep the right to make all people other than you criminals based on whatever you make the laws that criminalize them, including just being brown, not having a license, or being a criminal because you're just like all those other dirty Mexican racists or rapists that we had to build a wall to keep out.
I would feel duped if I voted for him because he distanced himself from Project 25. He said, I don't know these people.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Donald Trump lied?
He said, I don't know these people. So there's a lot of key parts in the platform he's enacted after he took office that is not stuff that candidate Trump campaigned on. We weren't talking about Canada. We weren't even talking about the Gulf of America. You touched on tariffs. We didn't know to the extent that we'd be starting a trade war. You talked about the Department of Education loosely, but everything that was detailed in Project 25, you expressly told me, that is not me. I have nothing to do with that. And then you almost follow it to a T.
This is why I respect Mike Ryan's Marchand take. Because sports is a great place for these conversations, because nowhere else will you attach so much of your identity to something that no matter what happens, you believe that that thing is right. How many times have you seen a bad call in the game and you're like, well, it's a good call, and you fight to the death? It feels very similar where so many people have attached so much of their identity to a particular person and party and movement that it feels as though there's nothing that team could do that could make you feel like, maybe I'm not a fan anymore. But Mike, we all should be more like Mike Ryan, because Marchand.
That's not a good idea.
No matter what Marchand does.
Brad Marchand.
No matter what Brett Marchand.
No, I think if you take a lesson, it's not the Marchand thing, because I'm very clearly being pigheaded there, and I'm sticking to my guns that I just don't like him as a person.
No, I'm saying that he joined your team. I'm saying that he joined your team.
He joined my team.
And
I
some
support my
people
team.
would, once they join the team, like, then he's good. You're like, no. I have integrity. Mm-hmm. This is a bad guy no matter what team he's on.
I think it's a dangerous time because, look, if something really bad happens at one of these protests, you're going to have an algorithm on the other side that's going to justify an irrational killing, potentially. And that's what I'm scared of, because it's different now. It's much easier to refuse to admit that you're wrong. It's much easier to never capitulate because you can find something on the internet and daily get that reinforced with your algorithm that says, no, you're actually right about this.
He's got a great campaign slogan for you here. Be like Mike. Can admit he's wrong. Can admit he's right. Likes to be really right. Can admit he's wrong.
This is my favorite Wild Billy Wednesday.
This is not an echo chamber.
Marchand.
I also don't like viewing things through the prism of Republican and Democrat because, I'll support liberal causes because they seem to represent the opposition. But for me, it's something as clear as this is an unprecedented power grab from the highest office. If you claim to be a constitutionalist, like you told me for 8 years,
starting.
Then why aren't you upholding the Constitution? This is a threat on that very Constitution that you held up. You're a Tea Partier. Why? What is this? We have a king now, and I just view it as right and wrong. I don't view it as right or left.
Well, and for what it's worth, like, Democrats had their opportunity when in power to start defunding ICE, and if anything, they only expanded the amount of resources going toward this type of behavior. But it wasn't until this second administration with Donald Trump and more importantly, Stephen Miller behind all of this. Stephen Miller, who his ultimate, and for lack of a better term, his final solution is deporting 4% of this country and completely destroying the economy, completely destroying the fabric of this country, because that's what they want. What fascists want is everyone to suffer outside of them as they accrue power. And for those who who look at this so black and white as, well, they're illegal immigrants. They're criminals. You know what the criminality of being an undocumented immigrant is? It's akin to a parking ticket. It's not an actual criminal offense in the way that everyone is making it like it's murder. It's no different. If you can't look at this imagery, everything that you're seeing right now is people are being rounded up in the streets. If you're just someone who doesn't understand because these are people who are different than you and maybe this wouldn't happen to you in your life, this is no different than if you and all of the people that you worked with, there were several people with outstanding parking tickets. And so ICE came into your office and just rounded as many people up as they thought looked like they might have outstanding parking tickets, and then arrested all the ones who did and eventually released the others. That's the level of criminality that we're talking about.
Not an echo chamber.
And there's also a common misnomer, and very effectively, and the Dems, to their failure, have leaned in on this. Dems are not pro-illegal immigrants. They don't want illegals in this country. That is a majority opinion. And much like the trans issues in sports, conservatives are very effective in campaigning and framing them as such, and there's no good rebuttal. But in a lot of these cases, TPS, that's not something that is very well understood. There's plenty of Venezuelans and Cubans that went through a full legal process to be in this country legally. And with one executive order, overnight they became illegals and now are being rounded up. And all you're getting fed from your Fox Newses and your Algos is they're here illegally, and you're going to get buy-in. Yeah, get those illegals out here.
You guys would agree with me that I've had no reason to fear more than right now in the entirety of my lifetime that there is the even remote possibility that my parents will have to die on the island they fled.
I mean, they're citizens.
But for now,
I can understand.
Being arrested.
I can understand.
Now,
I can understand the fear.
For now,
it's likelier than ever.
Yeah, I mean, Donald Trump has said that deporting citizens to other countries is something that we're going to look at that. So I understand.
I'm just saying we're just
the nerves.
starting with this. It is just the beginning. Chris Cody, do you have any thoughts on this?
Cannonball!
Marchand.
It's a good time for the Marchands of the world.
I'd like to check his papers.
They've got a state militia.
Marchand.
Man, those don't tread on me people just became, oh, please tread on me, daddy.
Well, you say that, but Mike Ryan today, for some reason, burst into the room saying, threatening of all places, F1.
Yeah, F1.
With tread lightly.
Hey, F1. F you. Did you see what they're doing? You see what they're doing? The greatest motor sports day ever is when you got Monaco in the morning, the Indy 500 in the afternoon, and the Coca-Cola 600 in the evening with NASCAR. You get all three major motorsports all in one day. You see what these guys are doing over at Formula One? Formula One is trying to switch the calendar so you get the Canadian Grand Prix the same weekend as the Indy 500. They're coming to North America and trying to take our crowd.
This is dangerous.
Let me tell you something, Formula One.
Yeah.
All right? Formula One, you are a Netflix documentary away, a cancellation away from being a funny car. I've seen the numbers in this country. You ain't Formula One in this country.
Nope.
You're not even Formula 2, Jack. No. And I've seen the Xfinity Series ratings on the CW. You're not even third oftentimes. Your ratings in this country, I saw the Miami Grand Prix. You got outrated by the cousin fucker 400 on FS1. All right?
Whoa.
Do not come to this continent and try to take the Indy 500 away from us. There were 350,000 people at that motor speedway. There were 7 million people watching at home, Jack. You can't even crack a million. You're not coming across the pond and taking our motorsports weekend. It's going to blow up in your fucking face.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
John Force has more charisma in his teeth than your drivers have in their entire little bodies.
Yes, he is so right about this. And Bill Burr does a great routine where he says that white people, when they can go around the world and say to anyone, what did we invent? What's ours? Stock cars. Not your big fancy things, not your things with the big engines that cost millions and millions of dollars. Gritty old cars that built this country's economy, that made my parents want to flee communism for the freedom of this country's stock car invention.
Yeah, highfalutin, looking down on your nose at motorsports here in this country because a Netflix documentary made you feel like you were better than me.
Ferrari.
You don't even watch it. The races are bad. Formula One is bad. Flatly bad. And while you may watch the Netflix show in droves, you ain't watching the races. So you ain't coming over here, screwing up my calendar, coming to my continent, and trying to put a dent in the Indy 500. They got one race a year that we talk about them. One race a year. And you ain't taking any of its shine.
Hallelujah, Mike. I'm glad you got all of it out from the last couple of days. It's like getting the air out of a tire that's overinflated. He's been mad for 3 days because of Marchand. He hasn't had a microphone. He hasn't gotten to talk enough about 6-1. You haven't gotten to say anything about winning 6-1. And I can't. And
that was a couple days ago. We're on to game 4.
All right, so spin the wheel of Cody's. The wheel of fortune of Cody's. Spin it.
Wheel maximum, maybe? Has to be better.
Wheel maximum.
Probably shouldn't have called it the cousin fucker 400.
You shouldn't have done that. I don't know why. That's
Appreciate
why
you saying it again.
I don't know why you did that. It seemed like you got carried away. And
I'm shocked that it's a sponsor.
Don't be like Mike. Don't be like Mike there. He gets too emotional. It clearly landed there on mini camps.
Did it? Oh, yeah, it says minicamp. My bad. Again, I was looking someplace else. The phrase minicamp is so stupid. It's ridiculous. There's never been, I don't like Minnie Mouse. I don't like the Mini Cooper.
Wow.
I don't like mini camp. Anything that begins with the word mini should be outlawed. And I can't think of a single exception.
Minivan?
Don't like the minivan.
Mini Minoso?
You had a nice minivan, white minivan. I remember when I was 7 or 8.
Dodge Caravan.
That was a van, nice not a minivan. That was a van.
Mini Minoso?
Felt like a minivan.
Well, Mini Minoso spells it with 2 N's and an E on the end. I mean, I'm talking about mini as in tiny.
So you're saying there are no good minis, that
No.
anything that's mini should be outlawed?
Who doesn't like Minnie Mouse?
Minnie Mouse isn't a real name. Her name is Mervina.
That's
No,
true,
that's
but
not
Minnie
true.
Mouse
That's
spells it
true.
with an IE as
That
well.
can't be true.
Wait, it's Google AI.
That
Check
can't be
this
true.
out.
Minosa and Mouse both spell their first names Minnie, M-I-N-N-I-E.
It is
Minerva Mouse.
That's a great Deftones
That wouldn't
song.
work at all.
Minerva?
That's why they shortened it.
The
They would have gotten divorced.
Well, they got
A mouse-
divorced, and
a
it
mouse-
really impacted their stock price.
I heard the bad joke. I don't care if no one else heard it.
What happened?
Let him have it.
What?
Let him have it. Chris, let him have it.
What? What did I say?
Greg, this is what's happening. What did you say?
Yeah.
You said it.
What did I say?
You're like the Minerva of her? Or
Yeah, right. Minerva. The nerve of her. All right, it's good. Good line. Minerva, nerve, the nerve of her. Minerva her. It works. It works on several different levels. Dominique knows.
It's getting better, though. The more you do it, the more I like it.
right.
It started out not great.
Yeah,
It's
Minerva, the Minerva her.
It does have a sing-song cadence to it.
Thank you.
Minerva. Minerva.
The Minerva her.
Mickey Mouse's name, not Mickey's his
Minerva.
nickname.
What?
We're doing a thing.
Minerva.
You want to keep going? Keep going.
Minerva. Minerva. Minerva.
You guys got more? Keep going. No,
That's
this
it.
sounds
Just
great.
keep
I mean,
going.
keep
Just-
going.
don't get
We only got
defensive,
3
man.
minutes.
You
Tone.
stepped on a thing.
Tone, we just wanted you to get in.
Michael
I wanted
Theodore.
you to join in.
Michael Theodore.
Tone.
Oh.
Tone.
Yeah.
All right.
I can't tell if he's shortening your name
Tony,
or warning you.
I'm sorry to do. No, I'm sorry to do this to you. I'm sorry to do this.
Michael Theodore Mouse. That's his real name.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes.
Great contribution.
Stumbling.
See you later, I mean.
You're about to get mad at me and Mike because Mike seized on I had the Minerva song in my head, and Mike was going to be the only one to help me there. And what I wanted from you there, Tone, is for you to jump rope between me and Mike doing Minerva.
I tried.
Well, you tripped
And then
on
Mike
the
said
rope.
he's doing a thing,
Yeah, I
which I
know.
stopped and I said, okay, you guys double dutch. Keep going. Keep going. Longer. Go. More.
Yeah,
you
well,
got
that
6
was-
bars
that
of
was the
Minerva. Keep going. Make it 12.
Just let me double Dutch.
Marvy
You want you to do it?
Don't tell me to double Dutch.
Povich must be
Don't
so
say
confused right now.
Double Dutch.
Minerva
Well, I'm
now.
trying to double Dutch.
I'm gonna take.
Bias. He's
I'm gonna take my 2.
Marvy Povich.
The Minerva got me.
Marvy Povich.
I'm nervous.
Minerva now.
Marvy Povich.
You're the first star of the game.
So, look, Marvy Povich has liked what we do, what sports writers do, what Tony Kornheiser does. I don't know why this person, who has been at the height of comedy and at the height of news, I don't know why this person would fancy us sports writers, people that he's fans of. but he will appreciate that I've got an executive producer that just botched that way. So you want to say hello to Mory Povich here?
Hey, Marvy.
Oh, boy. That's what Letterman used to call me. Marvy, Morty, Murray, anything but Mory, because he was in love with my wife.
That's all Chris was doing, a Letterman reference.
Callback.
Oddly enough, I want to play this for Mory, even though, and I thank you, by the way, for joining us. That was an awkward introduction, and I should tell everybody that if you want to know more about Mory Povich's distinguished career, Pablo Torre Finds Out did a great episode with him, and I've admired his work for a long time, but also his sense of humor about what it is that he is doing. But just play the sound, our breaking news sound, and have him give us the history of it, because we were talking about it just earlier today in the show. What is the history of that?
You want me to tell you?
Yes, because they told me, but I want it from your mouth.
So when we started A Current Affair way back, we wanted a sound like 60 Minutes has its ticking clock. And so they came up with the old-time sound of construction paper cutter, you used to have in elementary school, plus the swinging of a golf club put through a synthesizer, and you got the Kachung, named after my wife.
Named after your wife, though, is the part that I don't get.
It was called the Kachung.
Yeah, I got that part, but the part that I don't get is it actually...
Well, my wife's name is Connie Chung. Come on, Dan, you know.
Are you not following this?
I don't understand. Dan. I don't get it.
It's pretty simple.
It makes sense.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. So what happened? Why are you doing a podcast? How was retirement? I didn't think that you'd be back in the game on par with Mory Povich. You're getting in the podcast game. I love that your voice is still out there, but what was happening in retirement?
Retirement was great. Some stupid people came up with this idea. I used to, I kind of admired what your friend Mr. Skinner was doing. And so just when I thought I was out, they dragged me back in.
And what are you trying to do with it?
Well, I'll tell you, the one thing I'm trying to do, and you'll understand this, Dan, when I was doing this show for all 30 some years, I mean, it was all about the guests. It was all about the themes. It was all about DNA, lie detector test, out of control teenagers and stuff. And I really didn't talk about myself. And so I had this career before the show, like 30 years in journalism. And so I'm now able to kind of like reflect on what the shit I thought about things rather than what everybody else thought.
But Andre Drummond as a guest?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, a great guest. You should have him. Andre, I'll just give you one little nugget about Andre Drummond, okay? He's coming out of Connecticut as a 17-year-old high school kid. He's like the number one kid in the country. And Jim Calhoun at Connecticut is recruiting him, and he's trying to stay in high school one more year. Finally, he says, okay, I'll go to the University of Connecticut. He walks in, and Calhoun says, I'm really happy to see you here. I got to take a scholarship away from somebody and give it to you. And so Drummond went to his mother. They didn't have any money, but his mother said, that's not right. Drummond said, that's not right. In fact, the scholarship that was being taken away was with a guy that he knew. And so he and his mother took out a loan, and he walked on, saved the guy the other scholarship. Pretty good, huh?
People don't actually understand when that gets to the NBA at 20 years old, and all of a sudden it's looking past its coach, Stan Van Gundy, and taking instructions from his mom in the stands because that relationship is stronger than any other that he'll ever have.
Yeah, and he's 13 or 14 years into the game. I think he's been paid over $150 million. He takes pay cuts to still play, and he plays for the 76ers.
Who have you enjoyed as a guest that has surprised you? Like if you're doing this, right?
Other than my wife,
you did an interview with Connie Chung.
Oh yeah, well Tori did one too. I mean, talking to my wife it's like an old, it's like an old Burns and Allen show. I mean, you never know what the hell is going to happen, and you never know what's going to come out of her mouth, and so there's nothing to prepare for. when you talk to her, and it turned out okay, I guess.
Greg Cody, do you want to tell us about Burns and Allen?
No, Mory, when you said that, my ears lit up. I mean, George Burns and Gracie Allen. I mean, who doesn't know them?
Why did your ears light up?
Because my eyes were already awake, but my ears, need a little perk up. And
then, and George, I play like George Burns. I'm the straight guy. And Connie's like the Gracie Allen because you never know what's coming out of her mouth.
Perfect. Great. I love the analogy. Keep them coming.
Jeremy, when did they meet? What year?
They met in 1922 and married in 1926.
Maury, this is the demo we're going for, Maury. Your podcast, this is the demo. This is what you're doing.
No.
There are going to be a lot of people our age who are dying to hear what Connie Chung has to say.
I should have never opened up that. Oh, Lord.
Yes.
Meanwhile, your friends there ought to know about you and me, Dan. The first time I ever was familiar with Dan Le Batard, he was doing this has got to be 25 years ago at least, Dan. And you had this Sunday show on ESPN. You were the columnist for the Miami Herald, but you would come on Sundays, and I would be driving to the golf course to play my Sunday game, and you did 10 minutes, a monologue that was really, it was like a newspaper column on radio. And I was just so fascinated by that I had to get in touch with you. You don't do that shit anymore, do you?
Well, you were the only one listening to that show, which I did by myself, and now the other people do all the heavy lifting for me. I just sit in the middle of it and have everyone carry my bloated ass around.
How disappointed do you think Mory was when he was like, I'm coming on with Dan, the guy who unspooled this wonderful tapestry on the Sunday morning rides, and he's listening. Minerva.
That's right. Minerva.
You want to get in, Tony?
Michael Theodore.
Minerva.
Marchand.
Connie, it had a little syncopation there, and you got a song.
That was perfect timing by you. Connie Chung, your love of her. Can you explain to the audience? It's one of the great love stories. It is.
You asked me to explain. I'm not too sure I can. I can tell you this. I think, everybody says if you're in the same business, that's trouble. I think it saved our marriage. The fact that we understood what we were doing, we understood what had to happen, the fact that we would be separated a lot because she would be running around the world and I would be doing something else. And I think that more than anything else, that we understood where we were coming from. And secondly, if you don't have a sense of humor, you got no shot. And she has one of the great senses of humor. And so that works. However, I say that all arguments end when the head hits the pillow at night. And she says, I hold a grudge all the time.
Can you sort of explain to the audience when you're talking about sense of humor? I can't imagine that the two of you are watching today's news coverage and the state of American news and doing very much laughing.
Well, it's what we're really happy about is that we're not in it. It would be very difficult to be in the news business these days in terms of trying to be objective and trying to be fair. It is so crazy, and news media is just gone off the rails. I don't think there is one particular brand, news media brand, that is absolutely pure objective stuff. Even like the New York Times, with the placement of stories, with headlines and things like that. It's very difficult. You knew who my father was, Dan, and he would have a very difficult time reading the paper these days.
I can't imagine what your wife is feeling watching the news when you're just saying out loud, there is not an objective news source in America that Mory Povich and Connie Chung would sign up for.
Yeah, I think the closest thing would be PBS. I watch a lot of the BBC, for instance. When I want to find out what's going on in the world, I'll watch them. And Connie is, I mean, it's very depressing. She thinks it's very depressing. And there's one aspect of news, Dan, that I think is the silver lining. And that is, and you'll understand this, local news gathering. I think that's fair. I think people are very interested in what's happening in their neighborhood, and I think the local newscasts are as objective as there is in the country.
Also dying. New episodes of On Par with Mory Povich every Monday. Let's get from that kind of depressing to a lighter game. Would you attend their funeral? Let's make this difficult for Mory Povich. New episodes of On Par with Mory Povich every Monday. He's available on YouTube and everywhere you listen to podcasts. I've always found him refreshingly honest. Consequences be damned. So make it difficult for him, Mike Ryan.
So I thought about putting Tony Kornheiser on this list, but it's very clear that Mory and Tony Kornheiser are very good friends. But the internet tells me you're just an acquaintance with Michael Wilbon. So, would you attend Michael Wilbon's funeral?
Absolutely. Yes, I would. And Michael is a dear friend. Let's put that canard to rest.
All right, I'm glad. We gotta correct AI so they can get better at
All
this.
right, just to be clear, because I want to press and be a good journalist, you're going even if it's in Chicago?
Wherever. I used to work in Chicago. It was a great town.
All right,
it was a great news town.
I got it. All right, back off.
So you're a member, according to the internet, of the Chevy Chase Club, which...
No, I am not.
So, all right, well...
Okay.
I am not.
All right, were you ever?
There are a lot of... No, I was never. In fact, I had to kind of get... I only played at Chevy Chase Club on Mondays when the pros were off and we went over there to play around. I'm not a member, never applied, not too sure I would get in.
Geraldo Rivera.
He's okay. Geraldo's okay.
That's not what we asked
you. Would you go to his funeral?
Would you go to his funeral? We didn't ask if he was okay.
Yeah, I'd go to Geraldo's funeral.
Because you killed him?
Yeah. Huh?
Because you'd killed him and you want to see the
No,
mourners?
I would not. No, I mean, Geraldo and I, we came up around the same time. I'll put it that way.
Wow. That's actually
Or
big
whatever.
breaking news. Lewis Black.
Oh, special. In fact, this week, he's the guest on Par with Mory Povich.
Did he impress you enough on
What
your
a
podcast
coincidence.
to be like, I'm going to go to your funeral, pal?
I mean, Lewis Black is one of my dear friends. I love Lewis Black.
All right.
I'll put it this way. Lewis Black. Why are you laughing?
No, because we're playing this game very poorly with you.
I mean, it's all right. You try to find guys in his life that are on the fringe of whether or not he'd go to the funeral. It's a harder game.
I got a lot of guys.
Maury, Dan wants to know. That's what he wants. Dan wants to know.
What
Your
I want,
friends apparently-
in order for the game to work correctly, it can't be the guy saying, of course, he's a dear friend.
All right, Dan.
We don't know who his dear friend
You
are.
come
All
up.
right, Dan.
You come up.
Yeah,
You come up with some names.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Dan. Put it this way.
Yeah, thank you, Maury. Thank you.
I won't go to your funeral. All right.
Okay.
Whoa!
All right. So the internet tells me you're friends with a dude named Dick Pullman. And not only do I want to find out if you'd attend his funeral, but is that his real name?
Dick Pullman?
Yeah.
Yes. And he's a professor at the University of Pennsylvania, and I endowed his chair.
Yeah, you did.
Trump.
Oh, boy. No. And no.
Bob Schieffer.
Bob, believe it or not, the first job Bob Schieffer had was with me at the local station in Washington. I know. We've lost touch. No.
Now we're playing the game.
Yeah. You should check in on him. He was born in 1937.
Now
with you, Schieffer.
we're
we go.
playing the game. Yes, nice work.
Chief Justice John Roberts.
Don't know him. Don't care.
That was
Wouldn't know where. No.
It's the
Here we
Chevy
go,
Chase
Maury.
Club, which apparently has nothing to do with Chevy Chase.
The internet
actor.
can't be
golf course?
trusted.
Yeah,
On
you'd think.
Par with Mory
No.
Povich every Monday.
Thank you. Dan, thank you and your friends.
Don't steal this game now. I know you like it.
Yeah, you can take it for on par.